It is exactly 6:30. So we will start the September 12th Select Board meeting with the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right.
And the clock is correct.
And the clock is correct. Yeah, I used to like it when it was like 6 hours off.
Yeah. Be arranged.
Okay, manifests.
Make a motion to approve the accounts payable manifest of September 5th, 2022, and the payroll manifest September 6th, 2022.
Second.
All in favor? Minutes.
I'd like to make a motion to approve the minutes as written for 8/22/22.
Second.
All in favor? Okay. All right, we're gonna take a little sidestep right here, for now, and, the board is all aware of this, but I just wanna, reiterate that last week, sadly, Chris Sterndale handed in his resignation. So will be leaving us in about 30 days. So, board members, we need to talk, we can do it now, or we can do it later in the meeting. We need to talk about what our interim strategy is gonna be and what our replacement strategy is gonna look like.
Well, since we have a bunch of things on our agenda, I mean, why don't we talk it at the end?
Move it to the end. Okay. I'll just say quickly that, I'm saddened to receive, Chris's resignation. Happy for him, excited for his new opportunity. I think he's done a tremendous job for us in the 8.5 years that he's been here. He's provided tremendous guidance, to this board, and just has done a great job for us. So, mad at you, but happy for you.
Thank you.
Yeah. Okay, reports from boards and committees.
This weekend's the upcoming, picnic boat tours at Pawtuckaway for the 300th. And then next weekend, the 24th, is the chili cook-off at the fire station.
Nice.
I don't know if anything else, Steve?
No, but it's a very big deal that, we're gonna have from 11 to 4 at the state park. It's free to all town residents and their families. And there's food being provided by the 300 committee, a huge menu. In addition, there'll be a talk on the history of the state park and the area. And then from 2 to 4, members of PLA are giving boat tours at the lake. So it's kind of a big deal.
And the weather looks good.
Yeah, great.
Yep.
And the chili thing, anybody can sign up for that, right? If you know how to cook a half-decent chili.
It doesn't have to be.
There are 3 different types of chili. There's a red one, a white one, and a vegetarian types of chili.
And a burnt one.
Budget or planning?
We had a budget meeting, basically an intro to how we're going to address, this upcoming budget season. Just going over some ground rules, was kind of more of a filler in, and how we're gonna focus on some of the new, last year's warrant articles that are gonna affect on how our budget worked. So we all came to agreement pretty much on how that's gonna work, so we should be okay. Our next meeting for budget won't be until the beginning of October, and then we'll go back into the full swing of things. On that note, we'll go to planning board, since I'm there too. Busy in town, subdivisions, lot issues. Tomorrow night, we have 4 cases in front of us. We were gonna have 6. So that will be a 10 o'clock or later, Wednesday night, for that budget. So busy. I mean, the planning board's been very, very busy. A lot of still people coming in for doing subdivisions. Stevens Hill Road, there's some conceptuals, there's some things going on, looking on Route 4, with different driveway permits, and it's busy, very busy. So,
Okay.
but,
So,
we aren't slowing down too much right now for building and subdividing in town, so, as people might think. There's still quite a bit of, future growth that's in the works, so.
So I think we need to talk about board and committee, assignments, because right now, John is doing both budget and planning, which are two big, responsibilities, and, recently agreed with, Chief Hillchop to attend some of the regular meetings that they're holding. So, right now,
I don't mind right now, it's just gonna get, in a month or two, it's gonna get
it's
gonna get hectic.
it's
so.
not fair, it's not efficient, it's not good for the board if, you won the lottery tomorrow and ran off to some far-reaching location.
I'm sure you'd figure it out.
But again, I don't think that that's the right way for the board to operate.
Again, I don't mind what I'm doing. It's only gonna be till February, or March, or whatever, so. I mean,
I thought we had decided to split up either budget or planning.
the planning we did. You'd be taking over planning come,
January or December, whatever.
I think it's December.
Okay.
If you're still good with it, that's fine with me. I mean, or if you wanna take it over in November, that'll help out, cause budget's gonna be,
Yeah,
That's fine.
budget's gonna be every single week, it looks like.
okay, that'd be great.
Did you talk calendar for budget committee?
Briefly,
We don't have anything we can give the department heads on when they should be ready to,
be ready as soon as possible. Our first meeting again is October, I think we have it set for I have to look, I don't have it in front of me, it's like the 3rd or whatever that first Thursday is.
okay.
So we were expecting to see drafts for, the budget committee was more, no offense to the school, but we were more apt to make sure that they had their stuff in ahead of time and not at the last minute like last year, so that we can get it better.
You weren't
The
expecting,
town-
you
the
weren't
town-
expecting something from us at the last meeting?
We weren't expecting, the town's okay,
Okay.
we're okay.
We just need to we need to tell our people when, you kinda need to know the budget committee calendar, so you all can get your calendar in sync with it, and then you can tell the department heads when their benchmarks are, so.
So we had given them that draft,
That was just my suggestion to the committee, it's not, that's for them
we didn't get,
to deal with that.
did they talk about looking at that and giving feedback based on what Chris had shared?
No. I mean, we had the calendar and stuff on there, you know, what the dates looked like, and,
And you're not meeting again till October though, right?
no. But, I mean, we're in emails together, so if there's a, you know,
If you could just kind of, like,
yeah, I'll talk to Michelle.
try to get that from them. Okay, town administrators report.
All right, tomorrow's election day, 7 to 7 at the school. The polls are all set up, I think everything's ready to go. You have an updated list of appointments from the moderator in your pile. We don't wanna forget that, we don't have to do it right now, but, would be good. Just an FYI, we have always, the elections used to be in this building most of the time. You made the decision last year at some point to just move everything to the school. All elections are gonna be at the school. And when we break down the election tomorrow night, the election equipment, the polling booths and all that stuff, is not gonna come home here, it's gonna go to the old fire station. We have to move it every time we have an election now, because we can't store it at the school, they don't have room for that, so.
Yeah.
We have to move it every time. It was kind of one of the last things in the back building here. There's really nothing left back there. It's really not a fun place to be, it's not easy to get to for loading and unloading. We can fit that stuff in the old fire station, so when November comes around, the loadout will be from there over to the school instead of here, so.
So that it doesn't change what we do tomorrow night, cause we pack,
No, you pack
Pack it
it
up
up just
and
like
put
you
it in
always
that
do,
bag.
and we'll, Wednesday morning, we will come and clean it all up. But,
okay.
What's the
just,
dampness like? Is it gonna make that?
if we're off the floor over there, we'll be fine.
Chris,
Yeah.
That's gonna be a great picture.
That's my exit photo there. Anyway.
Thank you.
That will be on somebody's list of things to figure out is setting up the election, so, you know,
And you have the list that you've been going by.
yeah, there's a list and a map and,
Yeah.
so anyway, don't forget those appointments on that. Next topic, quickly, last time the fire chief was here, he mentioned he's trying to get the state to pay for part of our cost for that wildfire at the park, last month. He's gonna be looking for one of you to sign some paperwork. It looks like we're good to get half of the cost back from the state on that, which is $1,400
That's good.
The sale of town property that we talked about on 152 last meeting, our notice and mailing to the abutters flushed out some information that we didn't have before. One of the abutters had a plan that was not in our records, that cast a little doubt on the ownership of the land. We thought we had we said we don't have a great file on this, but we got a pretty clear path of, this is the ownership history. We learned with a plan that's maybe not quite as clear that our ownership of it. It's muddy enough that I'm gonna pull back that process and not
Okay,
try and sell that parcel. We can't in good faith, knowing what we do now, we can't in good faith try and sell it. So if you're okay with that, I can show you the plan. It really shows that somebody else owns what we thought we did. So we have kind of a conflicting case history there. Not really worth spending a whole lot of money to go figure it out, honestly. It's,
So when we took it for unpaid taxes, who did we take it from?
I don't remember the name, but that part we have, and it matches up with our tax records. But the exact location and the deed history, we had some deed history, but we never had a plan to show this is exactly where it is on a surveyed plan. We now have something that shows that, that was recorded, so it's got some heft, it's got some value. It's enough for us to pause and say, well, we shouldn't try and sell this, but
is this tied to that?
probably, is that we got one bid in. Yeah, so we're gonna send that back. Yeah, that's what that is.
Okay,
I didn't wanna do that until I told you that that's what we were up to.
okay.
Anyway, the E911 renumbering process is moving forward. Anybody whose address is changing was sent a certified letter last week. We've got one address now that the resident has looked at it, and we've got some question about where their driveway is. Everything else seems to be on track. Signs are up, almost up. They're in the process of going up. They're covered, so they won't be in use yet, but when the day comes, they'll pull some of the covers off the signs.
Is that everywhere, Chris?
Everywhere,
Are there all of the signs up?
they are going up now. They're in the
Okay.
process of going up. So
Okay.
if you haven't seen the new ones in your neighborhood, it's just because they haven't got to those yet. But there will be new ones
Okay.
in your neck of the woods. And the facility assessment committee, I just left the facility assessment committee. They were meeting, they're still hard charging. They're meeting every couple of weeks. You should invite them to come back at some point, get with them and find a time that, when they're ready, but don't forget that they're looking to come back and give you kind of a
Yep.
check-in.
Yeah.
Probably not your next meeting, but maybe the one after they may be ready by then. And that is all I have.
Okay, well, while we're on the subject of the E911, Chris Evans and Gary Potvin, have questions about the name that they have, and had questions about whether or not, they had given us a name that we said, was a little too generic, and everybody wanted Loon Lane. So we assigned Martha's Road to it, Way or whatever. We had only gotten one name from them, so we didn't have a second one to go to, like some of the other neighborhoods do. They're here tonight asking is it too late to say, okay, we don't want Martha's Way, we want Heron Lane or Heron Road? So I don't know how far we are down, if the signs are going up, is it too late for that?
Signs are not a big thing to change, it's all the other notifications that happen as part of the 911 process, so, in terms of they're done in batches, and the notification to, you know, all the utilities and the mapping companies and all that stuff, that's all done, that's already done.
Okay.
To the best of my, I can double check and make sure that the files haven't been sent or something like that.
Yeah.
So, I think these are done, and but I can follow up on it and find out.
Okay,
It's definitely very late.
okay,
All the notifications we did to utilities are done.
okay,
What the state's done, I don't know.
okay. So you guys wanna follow up with Chris, and he can check on that?
And you just wanna know, is it too late to change your mind? If it is not too late to change your mind, you don't meet again until these changes have already taken effect. See where I'm going?
So we would have to meet to approve that officially?
If you wanna, you have voted to change the name of a road. If you wanna vote to change it to something else, that's within your
Vote as a board again?
power. You have to do that in a meeting, and, yeah. And in the 911 process, you might even have to hold a public hearing to do that. Because that's what we did before the last round. Remember, we had a public hearing to say,
Yep.
hey,
Yep.
in the guise of 911, we're gonna talk about changing these road names, and there's a, you know, legal process for how to do that. So,
Thoughts, anyone?
The only two, it was a meeting, I don't know, a lot of people that, I get the process, I'm just saying.
He's-
For the rest of the board, they know there's only the two of us on that road.
Yeah, but he's talking about utilities.
No, I know, I
Yeah.
understand.
Yeah,
For 100% of the people there, and, you know, just, I don't know if it's possible just to take a minute and just say, we appreciate what all that you've done in the whole process, and we know there's a lot of effort. You guys have kind of unraveled the ball of yarn and kicked it, now we have the rest of the ball, and we gotta live there and change all of our addresses for driver's license, passport, insurance, I mean, the list goes on and on forever. We didn't really want the road change, but we did, put in a name, we didn't realize we needed to find many alternatives, because there was not another Blue Lane out there in the universe. So, had we known that, we would have liked to have suggested a couple. Those two, suggestions would have been, Heron Lane, and or the, other one would have been Henry Lane. And, we saw that 911 didn't want to see names. Martha is the name chosen right now. And, Henry Musial is actually, the owner since 1962, lived in that home and built that home, and, was the sheriff of the neighborhood. I'm sure you know who he is. And, I think he's buried on the site, his ashes or something. There's a commemorative stone sitting there, and I think, the herons come and they land right on that stone with his name on it, and, so that's where the heron came about. But Henry was the guy who, brought a bottle of scotch for the people who plowed the roads way back when. So they'd come down there so he could go fishing, and when we bought the house, there were, from Henry, after he died, he owned it for 50 years, there were several bottles of scotch in there with Christmas labels and still on them, that he would have given to the plow riders had they come out. He's the reason these roads even got plowed to start with.
So Chris, not to cut you off, but we get all that, okay? And during the process, we had asked people to provide different alternatives. And there were many people who came to meetings to discuss it. So we had requested that, and pretty much every road gave us
And
multiple.
we didn't realize we needed a second, so I wanted to just really finish by saying, if you wanted, the process is not unraveled so badly yet, we'd like to propose Heron and Henry as alternatives. If that's something that you could vote on and say, hey, we'll look at those if it's not too late.
In what order?
Heron, Henry.
Okay, what do other board members, what do you wanna do here?
If it's already gone too far, then it is what it is. If it hasn't, fine. But if it's already gone and the utility's already got it and the state's already changed it in the system, then it's
I agree.
Yeah,
it's irreversible.
Change it, go ahead.
Timing wise is problematic. We don't meet again for another 2 weeks.
Yeah, I don't know. You have a lot of authority to do things with roads, but it's the legal framework that you have to do it within. Is anybody gonna sue you if you drift from that?
Well, it's only two people.
Probably not, but, will the state bureaucracy be on board with changing horses midstream like this when you're not following the law? Probably not. So that's like, I'll have that conversation tomorrow with them
Okay.
and see what they say.
That's gonna be the guiding of what's gonna tell us what to do.
Yep,
Yeah, you know, you really rely on them for a lot of that notification piece and trying to populate the data that's out in the world and, you know, get everybody on the same page. You kinda need them on board. But I'll have that conversation with them tomorrow and see what latitude they have.
okay, so you guys follow up with Chris.
Thank you, Doug.
All right, action items,
Everything that was in the minutes as action items is already on the agenda.
cool. Assessing,
I'll make a motion to approve the intent to cut billing for map 6, lot 16.
I'll second.
Yeah,
all in favor? Sorry. Okay, and that is,
was the only item.
that's this big pack. Yeah, 616, right?
Map 6, lot 16, yeah. It says 2021 intent to cut. That's what threw me off, was the extra number.
Filed 2021, oh, the cut.
Yeah, he bought that land a while ago.
Oh, okay, so it's just,
So this might be just the fact that he's getting to the fact of cutting it. Cause I know he went through and he was talking about different lots to subdivide and different things like this before he. So I think this was already done, it just wasn't cutting to the point where now he's actually having somebody come in to chop it.
Okay. All good there, Lamprey Drive. Okay, Chris, can you walk us through this, please?
Which one?
Lamprey?
Drive.
Lamprey Drive, okay, you got a pile of information for me, about the legal process that, we're contemplating here. You will recall that as part of the 911 conversation, you learned that a couple residents were interested in finishing a road that, was never constructed in the 60s as it was approved. They want to finish constructing that road and they would like it to end up being a town road. The rest of Lamprey is, and they would like this new section that connects to two portions of Lamprey now, to also be a Class 5 town road. The road can get built without your involvement. They have the right to do it. That's between the landowners. It would just be a private road if they finish that section that needs to be, that they'd like to finish. Your involvement comes from the process of it potentially ending up as a town road. We have been working with the residents, to find a path to do that, and that's where the petition comes from. This process, this legal process called statutory layout, is not used very often, but, is a way to take advantage of the fact that the road was approved 60 years ago, and can get to Class 5 status relatively cleanly without going through the planning board, without going through town meeting. It's something that the select board can do if it wants to. the first step of that process is for those residents to petition you to start that process. From here, there would be a public hearing. You have to talk about, are there any potential negative effects? Is there some public benefit or occasion, as the law says, to making it a class 5 road? If it were done in a way that was good for the town and the town vehicles, I think the staff would say, yes, it would be good for the town that it ends up a class 5 road. The residents all in the area are all interested in making this happen. So I think tonight what you need to do is give us a sense of your level of interest in this ending up as a town road. You should talk about how it should be built, to what standard, what construction methods. You can hear from the residents that petitioned you. We need to talk about what the end game is in terms of what gets constructed. It really needs to be done well and done in a way that the town can take advantage of it for it to make sense for you, I think. So you should probably ask those questions and go from there. We can get way down in the weeds on the legal side if you want, but I'd probably quickly hand you over to your attorney. That's where the concept comes from, your attorney, and
Yep.
how we do this, and procedurally they will be checking us as we go through this. Pretty process intensive. So, it is the way to do this without planning board and town meeting and
Okay.
taking months and months to do it. The residents are interested in doing it sooner rather than later.
Comments, questions?
I'm for it. Back sitting on the planning board, before we had, the new subdivision regulations where, we're doing cul-de-sacs and stuff, Nottingham, you didn't have a choice, there was no cul-de-sacs. Your road had to come in one way and had to go out another. You had to have 2 points of exit. Alright, so I'm all for this, having that connection piece. It's 2 points of exit, better for the town for plowing, it's better for emergency access. Nothing negative about having that. All for it, getting it to go through. The road's narrow and tight through, so it'd have 2 ways in and out. Can't see a negative on it. So I'm all for having it to be done.
I agree.
Does this create a loop?
Yeah, nice
It
circle.
does, like,
Yep.
I'm not like 100% clear on the map.
Don't trust any map,
Okay,
If you don't drive it, don't trust it.
not down there.
okay, okay.
None
But
of
it
them
will
are.
create that additional
It will create a circle.
egress.
Yep.
Okay, yeah, and honestly, I don't think it makes sense to have one little sliver of road stay private when everything else, you know what I mean? Administratively, that would just make no sense, so.
Yeah, I agree. The only, additional question I have is about, the standard to which the work is done. And I think from that,
I got an opinion on that too.
what's that?
I got an opinion on that too.
Would you like to share it?
Sure. It should go, we should get it to as close as we could for a new subdivisions. So if it can make it 24 feet wide, you're gonna have 20 foot in the middle, you're gonna have 2-foot runoffs on both sides. For where the snow gets plowed over, there's enough adequate room. That's how it should be constructed.
Yep.
There could be a hardship because of a gigantic, boulder the size of this room in the way, and I've walked the path to go through, I don't know.
That's why the good Lord invented dynamite.
Well, again, we don't wanna put so much of a burden on the people that live on that road that this becomes a $80,000 project or $100, because they have to blow up and do something like this. So, there should be some sort of, but it should, to my suggestion, be at least close to a new, cause in that way, it's just, we're trying to.
It's not less than that.
We're trying to, right, and we're trying to build up all the roads now with heavy gravel to re-support them and redo it, so this is just a section where we can, maybe use as the benchmark and then continue around the roads to, meet the standard that they're gonna do on this one.
Good with that.
should we look for, recommendations from Sean?
Oh, absolutely, I was just throwing out my opinion.
Yeah,
So
no,
we're
no,
just-
no, I
We're just
yeah, I
talking,
get
so
it.
I'm here just to,
No, you don't have to come up, I'm not asking for recommendations right now.
He's been there, he can give you a quick and dirty intro, I think. Are you prepared to do that? Is that fair?
Yeah, I can
First
talk.
thoughts?
I was out there again today.
Yeah. It's probably worth hearing from him early and,
Okay.
and, I think you probably wanna hear from the petitioners who are here too, so, you know.
Yeah, so, yes, it would make sense on one aspect to have that loop back through, I agree with that. And, but there's a couple of things that, are unknown. There's a road now, which is, looks like a driveway that goes to the point out there. So that would have to be identified, is it, a right-of-way would have to be done. So basically, you need a survey and a design plan with cross-sections. And I agree with John Moran that you should follow subdivision rules and regulations as far as up to a gravel base for that road. As far as what the map shows, as far as looping around easy, it's not that way now. When you get to the end of that section they want to develop, it will be a sharp turn to the left, of a 90, or a sharp turn to the right, right and left, they're both 90s either direction, which will be very difficult for, the large dump trucks to do in the wintertime. So, and then to go straight across, I believe that's gonna run into the power lines from what I saw out there today. So a survey, and then you would wanna also, any culverts that need to be installed to handle runoff, because there is some runoff going on out there. I saw erosion in the woods and stuff that was heading towards a vacant lot. So you would have to pick that up with a culvert. Then you would also have to have a drainage easement. You can't just go and dump, drainage water from
Yep.
a town road onto a private property. So those are the type of things that I would want to take into consideration if it would want it to be a town class 5 gravel road.
So in a situation like this, would, like Sean's talking about, you know, survey, design plan, all of that, since folks on the road are petitioning us for that, is the burden on them to do that? Or is that something that the town would get involved in doing?
The conversations that we've had all along have been that the residents are constructing this road, this is not something the town's gonna spend money on.
Yep.
There is a way that you can spend town money and then turn around and charge people to benefit from it. And,
Yep.
you know, you may recall the expression betterment assessments.
Yep,
That's a long way to go. We can explore it if you want. If this is gonna go quickly, it would be better to just say, here residents, here's the standard. Come see us when it's done and we'll make sure it's up to those standards and we'll
Yep.
get it done. We'll approve it here. That's a much faster, cleaner,
okay,
legally. What you're really trying to protect the town from here is, things like, that Sean just mentioned, the drainage. If you got water coming off a town road onto private property because of a change that you endorsed, or, you know, it's your road, it's your water, that can get dicey.
yep,
So that's the kind of thing you're trying to protect yourself from here.
yep. So I just wanna make sure that the residents are clear on what the expectation is, so it's not a situation of they go and do it and then come back and we're like, oh no, that doesn't work. So,
Yeah, that's not fair to them.
that's not fair. Were you gonna say something? You were gonna say something.
yeah, I'm still thinking about, you know, I don't wanna see this to be this difficult for a decent benefit, you know, for the town. You know, and ask them to do all this for this. This is, I think, might only be 100 feet of road that we're talking about, and I walked it. You know, if there's drainage pools put off to the side for the water coming down, the water's going everywhere. Doesn't matter where it's going. It happens on every single dirt road that we live on. And we accepted all those, and the roads, and the dirt's still going, and people driving.
We haven't got sued yet, I don't think, from the acceptance of all the roads. You know, I think with good practice, good drainage off the sides, you know, with the 2-foot swells or whatever like this, again, I'm not a road agent, I'm not done, but I hope there'd be an easier way to make this, you know, suitable for the small amount of feet that we're talking about construction. You know, and I do understand, cause we don't wanna see you going back in 3 years and paying to fix the whole damn thing, you know, that's definitely something I don't wanna see by any means. You know, I don't want, you have enough to do now, you don't need to go back and, you know, I'm not trying to make this, or bring this up as a, you know, let's slap and get it done, but, you know, the benefits, how it should have been done 60 years ago, if it was done then, we'd probably talking about a 20-foot wide path with no drainage, with no nothing, on dirt, I mean, probably a real shit storm compared to what could possibly have.
I'm just, looking out for the best interest of the
And
town.
you know, I absolutely agree with what you're saying, I mean, I'm not saying I'm not, I'm just trying to, you know, weigh out the two differences, you know, for what we can do.
If anything, there's one question about that road off of, what is not even labeled on the map, if that's even town road or a private road.
Which one, the one come when you go down Lamprey down, you come over and
And you
turn this
take,
way?
no, you come down off that first.
You come into where the circle is, there's one that's a circle, and then there's one that comes down and goes like this.
No, you go to,
Can you, just wait, you'll get your chance.
Which one were you talking?
so it's where that, road, the 100 feet would pop out on. So you go down that left right before Lamprey that goes down the hill, go down that road, and then there's another dirt road that heads off to that point,
Yes, the left, right there, yeah, it goes right out to his house, he's the last house on that road.
not on the wrong side of the road.
Are we on the side with the circle, kinda like you can kinda go around?
Yes, but it doesn't, there's another road off of that, am I?
I'm
So-
sorry, so, and, do you mind?
I mean, I've driven it like 50 times.
This road here, there's a road that cuts across here.
That's
Right.
actually just a
That's a
private
driveway.
way.
That, right
This is the
now,
Elders.
they're plowing this themselves, right now.
No, oh,
Yes.
yes, right there, that is, so,
Yeah, that's not part of that, right, you're absolutely right.
all right.
So when this piece here would connect and make the circle. That would still continue to be a driveway, as it is a driveway.
Well, that won't happen as it is now
Yes,
because.
it will. Because this is access. Yes, you have to make a little turn here and come back, but that's the access, and it does go completely around. I've driven it dozens of times.
So as I said, I was out there today, and so I saw some things that, wouldn't, it would be easy, yes, but is the conditions right for it? No, there should be a survey and some sort of a plan because of, the way the road is set up.
Well, there should be some sort of survey, cause we're gonna be effectively taking people's property.
Correct.
So we wanna know exactly where the 25 feet distance
Yep.
between one line and one and the other. We wanna know the distance from point A property line to point B property line. You just have to do a survey. I mean, that's the way we can know exactly where the road should be for future reference and where,
Correct.
I mean, that's, cause people wanna know where their land is gonna be, where it's not gonna be. And that way the town knows too, and that way there's no future incidents, which there's plenty of them around there with property lines and where the marker was or where the marker wasn't and where things are labeled, so. I'd be happy to see a survey, that would be very nice, but.
Anything else you wanna,
No,
Well,
not this time.
okay, does anybody, petitioners wanna
Got
speak?
something?
Brooke Schaefer, 24 Lamprey Drive.
So, recognizing that it will be a good thing for the town and that there's no money being asked for, there's a number of us that are obviously footing the bill for this pretty good expense, and now it's even more of an expense from what I'm hearing. With that said, one of the things that we would like is to get some type of assurance from you board members that at the end of the day, if we present, and Chris, I don't know if you forwarded this, and thanks for all your help, by the way, if we present a decent plan for E911, we're hoping that you would not change all the numbers on Lamprey, and you could assure us that those wouldn't change. It's kind of a showstopper for us, because a lot of this process, you know, is really geared towards helping that out, as well as having another point of egress and, you know, helping out with maintenance and all those other pieces. So, I think the plan, and I don't know how you made out, by the way, with this plan, but, I think the plan defines a new segment of road, but it allows Lamprey to be the loop, just as we're talking about, with no changes to numbers, because all the land in the middle is on the right-hand side, and it would be odd numbers. We have no odd numbers on Lamprey. I could show you a little bit more if you have any questions, but in general, I think the E911 plan could work to today's standards, in terms of the numbering structure, and our numbers would not need to be changed on Lamprey.
Do we have a say in that?
Yes.
Oh,
Yeah.
good.
Yep. One of the things that we kicked around at the neighborhood suggestion was renaming different chunks and leaving the chunk that is Lamprey. Our initial look at this, and that's Dale, our 911 guy in town, our initial look is that you won't need to change the numbers if you construct it this way. You know, you can, that's a decision for you all.
Yeah, I just looked at the tax
It's
maps, they
not-
start here at 4 and go all the way around to the highest
Yeah,
number
we'd
being at
have
the
to
end.
change a road name, a segment of road would have to change, but there's no houses on it. And there's a couple different ways to do that, but, it's obviously really important to the neighborhood that they don't change name and number. If you're a purist about 911, you might say that the number should change, but it's really close. It's probably not worth it. You know, we're not the 911 experts, but it's your call. You don't wanna change it, you don't have to change it. And from a response point of view, you probably don't need to change it. It's plenty logical. If this all comes together, there's a way to end up without changing people's numbers that is plenty safe and not worth
Yep.
making people go through that. That same risk reward thing that you kinda looked at town-wide, where, no, it's not perfect, but it's not worth putting people through the heartache for, that's what this would be. It's not worth changing. So that would be our recommendation to you. As it sits right now, Lamprey's not changing. You said we're not changing it, we'll come back to it later if you want to.
Are there any potential factors that could influence that? Is there anything, I'm always looking for like that, it makes total sense based on what we're talking about tonight, but what could come back to us in 3 weeks where we're like, ooh,
There's probably some weird scenario where somebody gets a variance to put structures, you know, get in undersized lots or something like that. Under current zoning, it's hard to see how development would change, you know, would make the 911 numbers really screwy.
yeah,
And we have plenty of screwy situations for 911 in town already that are, you know, one here or there. It would be one of those. There's no global problem
okay.
with the numbering on that.
The only land that really is undeveloped is one swatch, and there's 2 swatches. One of them could be all odd numbers and no issue in the middle of the Lamprey Loop. The other one is between Lamprey and Indian Road, what's it called?
Indian Run,
Indian
yeah.
Run, thank you. It's only 2.5 acres estimate. No survey involved here, but just a rough estimate, 2.5 acres, so maybe one lot, maybe something a little funny, but either way, the driveway could go out to Indian Run and it wouldn't impact Lamprey at all.
Right, that's not a reason to point a driveway that way,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
if it,
and
you
we
know,
have one
it's a
open
coin
number on
flip.
Lamprey, number 2 was never put anywhere, so if it is on the left, it could be number 2. So I think it holds water.
Where it gets wonky is the spacing increment, you know, we're using this distance increment for numbering.
Yep.
It won't fit for that, but in the, you know, as Brooke said, the likely scenarios, they all fit, it's okay, you won't be kicking yourself later. So that part, that is to the town, to the staff anyway, the E911 question is a side thing to this. This has nothing to do with, does this end up a town road? The town road question is a very big one in our eyes, and the 911 question is completely separate, but obviously it matters more to the people that live there. But you'll be able to leave it alone, is our look at it.
Anything else?
No, I just would, love some assurance, and I don't know if you could do a little informal. I mean, it's very important as to whether we go forward or not. If we get a no, then we're kinda done. If we hear majority yes, then we may continue forward, and that's sort of important to us, so that's why I asked.
I think the way I'm looking on the town website now, on the tax map, looking, and the number perfectly down the right way. If you start from this end, you go down, everyone increases.
Right.
On board.
Yeah, I'm cool with that, totally cool. The
Thank you.
only part, just going back to the first part of the discussion, is I wanna make sure that there's clarity between Sean and the residents about what should be done in order for us to say, yeah, we'll take it as a town
Yeah.
road. And I think, you know, John's point about let's not make it, you know, harder than we have to, but I do wanna make sure that we've got that agreement so that you guys don't go off and do something and then it comes back and it's like, no, that doesn't work.
Yeah,
So,
so that process would happen, you mentioned a public hearing, Chris, but when would that process happen, the getting together of the minds?
Public hearing would actually be, I think, for us to totally accept that section of road as a,
Afterwards,
After
part
it's
of town,
done.
after it's done.
I
Yeah, right.
misunderstood, okay.
The next step for you should be, survey, we need a survey, we really need a survey to either have our staff make recommendation about it, or to look to our engineers and say, hey, you know, not to make it you want to make it into a whole big thing, but we should have our engineers look at it and say, okay, do this, that, and the third, cause that's where you're gonna find pain. That's, how far you wanna go with that process is up to you, but I think we all agree that the baseline has gotta be a survey, we gotta know what we're dealing with here. We don't, just the fact that the three of you had to sit here and look at your hand-drawn map about where is this road gonna go, tells us that we need a survey of this place, so we know, to your point.
We wanna know where it is.
yep,
Where is this thing?
yep.
And does the geography that's on that plan work for us and our trucks? And do we have water concerns? Those are really the things that you're only gonna know with a survey. 50 years ago, would you go out and spitball it and say, yeah, okay, take this tree and we'll bend it around here? Yeah, you would, but,
That's why we're at the situation we're in now.
right.
Yeah.
So I think
Thank you,
a survey is the logical next step here
Yep, okay. Did you wanna say something?
to do
Come on
that,
up.
but.
Yeah, I'd just like to, address a couple points that just got brought up. I'm Herb Bernard, number 22 Lamprey. As far as the water issue, well, if you've accepted the town, the water runs down my driveway. If the town has accepted the road, the water literally runs down my driveway as it stands right now. Okay, I don't have a problem with it, okay? I'll bring the beach back or whatever I have. But we've gotten quotes to have the contractors come in ASAP, which is an additional charge. I mean, we're looking at $30,000 or plus, all right? And, okay, we're willing to spend it, but on the same token, we don't wanna change the numbers, all right? You've agreed that that won't happen. But as far as, a survey, well, now we're gonna delay it again. And quite frankly, if you look at the map and, and you draw, if you go by the maps that are there and the footage that's on the maps, you draw a straight line all the way down to where we're going to, where we're gonna do the construction. It's a straight line. And if we have 33 feet to work with, from that straight line, okay, and we only need 24 with a buffer of what, 2 on each side? I mean, even if we're off a foot, it doesn't make a lot of difference. I guess I'm looking at it as, okay, yeah, a survey is probably, a nice way to do this, but on the same token, and our pins are still up. So if you take a straight line from our pins according to the map, we know exactly where that's gonna come out. On our side, measure off 33 feet, and if we have to stay 24, 26, 28 feet between that, we've got leeway, okay? And I don't think we're gonna be off by more than a foot, to be very honest with you, because we've staked it out, we've measured it, we've taken a sextant to it, and we know where the pins are. We've marked the pins, I put stakes down, but Brooke and I have put stakes down on our lot lines, okay, and then measured 33 feet from that stake. So if we're in there, where's the problem?
The plan that was approved isn't a straight road. I'm going from memory, I don't have it in front of me.
It is on those 3 lots.
follows the lot
It
But
follows
where
the
it,
lot line.
where it meets the existing road, because one of the challenges here is that what was built and what was approved are two different things. Right, that's why the maps don't work, because some of the maps come from what was approved and some come from what was actually built. From the plan from 62, isn't there a 90-degree angle in there somewhere?
If you look at the,
Right.
Same one, I'll share
Yeah.
mine.
So,
It's right along the lot lines.
lots, okay?
right, so this is one of the things.
This is my lot,
Yeah,
this is the next one, and this is Pat's lot.
Yeah.
These,
That's the
that's
one
where
right
we're
there.
gonna go, right there. Right
Right,
now,
the-
there's a driveway that comes in here and continues out to the other side of Lamprey.
So here's a question for you. Whose land is this land gonna go through, James and Lois's property? The driveway? The road? The people that own lot, says here, lot 20.
Say-
Cause you know, you gotta define lot there and you have your house lot that you built on, you own that.
Correct.
Vacant lot that's sitting there.
She
Now,
does.
whether you want, again, I'm talking to her, you know, I mean, your future wise, you know, if that road takes off, it's gonna take off maybe some of your building envelope if it goes through that property.
No.
That's where I'm just curious where, if it's going through the property or not.
It does not go through that lot,
So it's going through Kevin Bassett's lot out back.
correct.
Yeah, he's part of our petition.
Yep, I saw his name on there, just making sure where it's going through.
Yeah, it does
Trying
not
to
go,
do my-
because if you take, because our stakes are still out. Okay, so if you take a straight line, 100 feet, 100 feet, 100 feet, and go from stake to stake to stake, you can take 33 feet off of that,
33 going from the stakes back.
to the stake back, okay? And then take your 24 feet that you're requiring, 2-foot buffer. We're well within whatever.
Not to be too detailed, but the specs for the subdivision for a minor road or a major road with 7 to 40 houses is 18 feet, 2 feet on each side. So that was sort of what we were looking at.
Right, 24 feet, that's where I was, well,
Okay.
22 feet, close, sorry, 22.
Well,
No,
You're
but
right.
it's 18-foot road is what I'm trying to say.
The road,
Yes,
then you have your runoffs.
correct, 2 feet on each side.
So
22 total with that, yeah.
right, so I said, so I had 24, I was close, but,
I'm just saying for
I mean-
numbers' sake.
right.
And we've already contracted, well, talked with contractors to get this done ASAP, not to interfere with the E911.
So the question on the table, thank you, the question on the table is, the immediate question on the table is survey or no survey?
Well, again, if it doesn't interfere with anybody's property, that's all against the water, and it's all on Mr. Bassett who just showed up. On his side. A lot of land to build on. It's his land. So, you know, as long as it comes to specs, I mean, we're gonna be all onto his parcel there, so. We're not gonna be on, I'm worried about the small waterfront properties and encroaching on their property. That's what my concern was right there.
It doesn't
I
encroach
understand
on
that.
anybody's property.
I understand that now that we clarified that, but I'm just saying, it's Mr. Bassett's property now that we're going on.
Right.
So his due diligence of making his property lines and making sure he knows where it ends, since we're using your line here, that's something he needs to be concerned about.
Well, I mean,
I'm just saying, I'm just pushing out everything out to be
I
in the open
understand,
forum, so.
but, you know, and we're looking at 33 feet, so we have a buffer.
Yeah, 30 feet, you only need 22, it's perfect.
So as long as we're staying close to, you know, our lot lines.
So, I mean, this is clearly not my area of expertise, but, I mean, I'm a little uncomfortable about not having a survey.
Yeah, I mean, I would agree. I mean, I know you have very good certainty about, you know, the positions and the measurements you took and all that, but I think it's important for not just the current, but future landowners to have a, you know, a verified, certified datum that you can stand on in court if there's ever a future property line dispute or anything like that, or dispute between a landowner and the town, or,
Well,
you know, we don't know what the future's gonna bring.
I
right?
understand
And
that.
so many of the road issues we've had in town in the past are from lack of good data in some cases. You know, these roads that we've taken on, right, in the past year or so, we don't really know exactly where they are. We know the path where people drive, but the actual, like on the tax map, the road itself is actually off in the woods, 20 feet to the right, and, you know,
I can agree to that, because one of Brooks' pins is in the wheel path of the road. And if you continue it on out, the lot line goes right down the middle of what is there as a road, okay? I can understand that, all right? But
so I don't doubt your certainty about the measurements at all, but I just think for,
we've gone by the existing pins that are there now, okay, and have measured 33 feet off of that, which is what the map said that we had, that was the right of way, okay?
Tyler,
And
your
if we
thoughts?
stay within that 33 feet, 24, 22, whatever the number is,
no, I know where you're getting at, yeah.
Tyler, your
But like,
thoughts?
if I was gonna buy a property down there, I would hesitate if I knew that the lines were not, you know, that the road was not surveyed before construction. You know what I mean? It would just raise a lot of red flags for me as a buyer, you know, that I wouldn't have absolute certainty as to the
there was
property
one
boundaries.
that was just sold on this street, that, you know, this road, that, like I said, the pin is in the middle of the, in the drive, in the wheel path, and goes right straight down the middle of the road. They bought it.
Tyler?
Again, this isn't my expertise or whatever, but I understand what, you know, the residents are saying. I mean, is this gonna turn into a 6, 8 month, 7-year decision? Which it could. I mean, seems to happen a lot in town, in not just this town. I understand what they wanna do. I think if anything, it might be good that we go out there and look at it ourselves too. I mean, if I could see a straight line going here, and it's not taking rights and lefts and all that, and I don't see the, you know, where they still should have, probably have a survey, but it's only for 100 feet of road, not somebody to go out there and say, well, I just looked at this and I looked at that, and I don't know, it shouldn't be confusing. It sounds like it's a pretty simple thing that,
I mean, we've had contractors out there looking at it, and they said this is a simple job, but to get it done now
Yeah.
is pricey, okay? And if we wait, then we don't know when these people will be able to get to it.
Sean, survey or no survey?
How long is, like, if we were doing this on any given chunk of land that we owned, if we were gonna carve a new road out of the woods, how long does it generally take to get a survey accomplished, or is it like seasonally dependent?
on the planning board.
I have no idea.
Yeah,
Possibly.
To get a survey done?
And, you know, I mean, I've got to commit to a contractor within 30 days, so I'm, even now, the price is up there, which,
I understand.
you know, and the contractor looked at it, saw the pins, and quite frankly said, I can do this in a couple, 3 days,
Right.
okay?
But a contractor's opinion isn't exactly an authority that could stand up in court
Well,
in the event of a boundary dispute, right?
Okay,
But I understand what you're saying, though.
John?
Well, last thing is the guy sitting in the back room, Kevin Bassett, it's his land going across. I mean, again, I don't see why we're not, I mean, it's his property. He owns it.
Right now.
Yeah, we're gonna take when they put the road in, they're putting the road over his property.
Right, but I mean,
So
in
he's
30
gonna have
years,
to
it
know.
might be someone else.
But he's gonna have to get that all subdivided anyways by the time he goes and sells it, cause it's one large piece of land anyways. So he can't sell it unless he sells the whole parcel as one big thing, but that parcel's 6 acre, I don't know how big it is, but it's large.
2.5 acres is that lot.
From Lamprey to Lamprey?
Yes.
Yeah, I thought it was a little bigger, but,
2.5 to 3 the most.
again, not subdividable to 2 lots. That's why the new map doesn't show on the line of exactly what it is.
And, you know, and to answer your question, 30 years from now, okay, the road is there. Now it's a town road, it's no longer somebody's property that we're doing it. The town's gonna accept that road once we complete it, that portion of that road. And that will make a complete loop, which is good for the town, good for the people.
Getcha.
Yep, okay, thank you. So, I mean, like I said, I think survey's the right way to go. I look to the guidance of our, Public Works Director. I feel that we should ask for a survey. You feel the same? You do not?
No, I just hope it can be done in a timely manner, that's all.
So survey or no survey?
No, it's survey.
Okay. What do we need to,
Well, you have told the petitioners what you wanna see when it comes time to make a decision about, does it become a class 5 road? At least to start, anyway, you wanna start with a survey, and then we have to talk about conditions.
yeah, I want Sean to work with them based on the survey to determine, what's the best approach, what's the best, most cost-effective approach, right? So not the Cadillac, but what we can do to work with the residents on that.
Okay. Do you have what you need to move forward? Even if it isn't what you want, but is it enough to?
I could have people in there within this week. Problem is that, this thing drags out, now it's fall, now it's next year sometime. So that's not advantageous to the town or to us. Because it's, like I said, I mean, right now, our price tag is right around $30,000. And if we delay this, I don't know where that's gonna go.
Okay. Well, you're looking at, you have to decide whether you wanna go forward with this or not. If you want some certainty about whether it's gonna be a town road before you spend a bunch of money, you're gonna have to wait anyway, because they have to have a public hearing, there's gotta be 30 days notice for that hearing. You're not gonna get a speedy answer about it being a town road. That's just the way the law works. So, would you go forward with it, not knowing if it was gonna end up being a town road?
If you give us what you're requiring, we'll have it done.
Okay, so you would take that risk that it ends up being a private road? That's another way of saying the same thing.
We've seen with Morse Road and the acceptance of that, I mean, that was a discussion that, I won't judge.
A fair parallel.
But I'm saying that I guess I'd be confident that it might get accepted based on the only example I've
Right,
ever seen.
that's a fair parallel, and that's what I'm asking.
It would probably
can't
be
give you a
better road
certainty.
than what's existing here now. It would be a better road than what's existing.
Yes, that's a given, but there's a point at which you might have to take some risk. Does it end up being a town road or not? And I don't know if you wanna take any risk in that regard.
So the only thing I'll say with regards to that is if we're clear, if we have the survey, if you guys are working with Sean all along, right, and the expectations are clear, I personally can't imagine why we wouldn't accept it.
That's,
Right, with that kind of clarity and certainty, there'd be no reason for anyone here to oppose it, and we'd be able to present that certainty to
the
the
public,
voters, to the public.
Yep.
And
Just to clarify what he just said, he said voters, but he didn't mean that. He meant in the public hearing. Public
Right.
hearing is to gather input only. It would be, under the special considerations here, it would be up to the board to accept or not accept.
Right, right,
Just to clarify.
yeah, I meant the public that attends the hearing,
Yep.
yeah.
Which might be the same people in this room right now.
Which would be the same people in this room.
So, how quickly could it get surveyed? Is the town gonna survey it to make sure, or Sean gonna look at it to say, yeah, this is the lines, and that's.
no, the town, well, that's up to
That'd be
you.
up
You
to
don't-
the
That's
general
up to you guys.
contractor, I
Yeah,
would say.
that's-
Up to you guys.
I'd imagine he'd have somebody in his Rolodex that he could call on for that. Rolodex, but you know what I mean, his contacts.
I guess my concern is, it's gonna take 6 to 8 weeks for somebody to survey it, then we're into, these guys getting ready for snow season. We're not gonna
There probably
Right now, I
won't be
have
a,
no figures.
there probably won't be a public hearing before that long.
Yeah, but if the road's constructed,
The road
Yeah,
would
we
be
don't need
there.
it. We just need it.
The road would be constructed. And that's our issue, is that, you know, we're trying to do this on a time fashion, keeping the costs where they are, okay, and acceptable to the town. We're willing to do it to whatever the town says, 22 feet, 24, 18, whatever the town says, we're willing to do it.
We can appreciate that, we can appreciate the desire for the timeliness. Unfortunately, there is a process that we have to go through. And I don't think that, I can't sit here and say, yeah, we're gonna cut corners or do this, you know, certain ways just so that we hit that deadline that you guys have. And I know that's not what you wanna hear, but,
Now, the construction and surveys, I mean, I'm an IT guy, so I don't know the first thing about this, but if I was in your position, I think one of the questions I would be, like, if I was creating a road, I would wonder, can I build the road first, survey it after, and chart out exactly where everything has been built? Is that doable? Is that something that happens in construction? Is that, what do you think, Sean?
Quite frankly, it's been, that entire area, Lamprey Drive, has been done that way. Roads aren't where they're really supposed to be.
I know.
And we're saying that we can do it within a foot of where it's supposed to be. We know where the lines are.
Right. What I'm saying is, in the interest of time, if your formal survey took place post-construction as opposed to before,
But what are we
I don't know, no?
Are we having just the 100 feet or whatever it may be surveyed, or are we having the entire area surveyed?
what do you need, Sean?
Survey is not just that whole group, they're identified in that, but they're shown on the map. And it being a straight shot and simple, sweep around to the left, it's a sharp right, and then an immediate left, with a 10% grade within 10 feet. So a large truck would follow.
Well, I beg to differ, because we've had oil trucks up in there, we've had six-wheelers, dump trucks up in there. They've done it, so I know it can be done, you know, and it has been done for years.
Okay, so I,
One of the residents just had an oil delivery, and it was done on that curve.
okay, so, I think that we've probably, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think we've discussed this, both sides of this pretty thoroughly at this point. I think the decision of the board is that we do wanna see a survey, and then, you know, discussions with Sean about, you know, what the construction should look like. You have the assurance from the board, anybody correct me if I'm wrong, but you have the assurance from the board that if all of that is done, we are okay with not changing any of the numbers, and we'll give approval for acceptance of the road.
Who's going to do this river?
That is the responsibility of the petitioners. So, yeah, tell us what you need, Sean, specifically.
That road, which coming out on identifying, that is actually Lamprey driveway, showing what they have as drawn out, because I'm not seeing that. Would like to meet with me out there.
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
That's what you should do, yeah, that'd be a good idea.
But I still would not back off from the survey. That's the town.
Okay, that works. So you guys will be in touch with Sean.
I just look at, if you contracted them that you have been talking to or whatever, and you guys meet with Sean and come up with a game plan, I'm sure that they're gonna wanna do the work, they'll get somebody over there to survey, I imagine, I mean.
Quite frankly, most of what we've talked to, they are so busy, they can't get to us till next year, okay? I pulled in a favor from a friend,
Yep.
and, you know, okay, I can do it. And we've got the tree people all set up, again, favor, because they've done work for us, right? So, you know, we've been trying to get this, to expedite this
There's no pressure for that.
No, they're two separate topics. All right, we need to move on in our agenda. Thank you.
Thank you for coming in.
Next on the list was NHMA policy process.
We have a 7:15 appointment.
We got appointments too.
Yeah. Police chief?
And the public works
We're
director.
like,
Wow, oh, I'm sorry, I lost track of time. Apologies.
police chief first.
Hey, apologies, Fawn, I wasn't looking at the clock.
She was enjoying the conversations.
Good evening. Am I on? Can you hear me?
Hey, Sean, could you bring that outside?
I'm sorry, what?
He's gonna give me a 10. He's gonna take-
Okay, that didn't
I
look.
wanna know where all these pictures are. Is my,
Yeah, that
is
didn't,
there a culmination at the end of my career that I get to see all my pictures?
That's where they'll be.
Anyway,
no, that's gonna be in the post office, actually.
that's great. Good evening.
Good evening.
Where would you like me to start? So I haven't talked to you guys in a little while, right? Been a few months. Somebody, when was the last time? We don't know.
It's been a while.
Been a while, right?
Or
So-
early summer,
I
probably.
just, you want me to update you a little bit of what's going on at the PD? Yeah, so, right now, we usually have 8 full-time and 1 part-time, so we're down 1 full-time and 1 part-time. We had 2 officers leave, kinda like
Wait a
back-to-back.
minute, say that again?
Yeah, so we're,
Have 8
we
full-time.
usually have 8 full-time, that's including me, and 1 part-time. And so right now, we have 7, so,
Okay,
in the
'cause you
process.
said we have 1, I thought I heard.
Oh, maybe.
Okay.
It's been a long night.
Okay.
So we're down 1 right now. Tomorrow, next week, and Friday, I'm gonna do, some interviews. I got some candidates, like 15 in all. But I'm gonna start the process tomorrow. But I had 2 officers kind of leave back to back, so I left a couple of vacancies. I was able to fill 1 super quickly. You guys saw that with Officer Lister, Joe Lister. He was part-time with us, and he was able to come over full-time. And then the next one, I'm in the process of filling. I have an officer who's in the academy, and he should be getting done like first week in November. And then, he'll be coming on board with us. I was gonna have, Joe Lister come down tonight and meet you guys. Something came up on his end, but I think that what I'll do is I'll have, when Austin gets out of the academy, I'll have, both him and Joe, and hopefully maybe my other full-timer that I hire come and meet you all, cause I know
Austin
that.
is the one that came from Massachusetts, correct?
He is, yeah, Austin
I
Ride.
met him at the 300.
Yeah, he was, part-time, yeah, he did the encampment. But yeah, so, kind of like in the hiring process right now, just went through a bunch of, applications the past couple of weeks and going through that. Obviously, I think I talked to you guys last, we got all TASER certified. Cruiser cameras, are in the process of being ordered right now. It's a long process. They're gonna take about 3 months to come in. Takes about 3 months to get them installed. We had to work a little bit. We recently went to, obviously, you guys know Back Bay for IT stuff, so, gonna have to collaborate and coordinate them meeting with, Motorola when they come in to do the install, but I think we got everything buttoned up, but I'll keep you guys updated on that, but it's in the works, it's gonna be here. I'm super excited. Motorola is kind of like difficult to deal with. If anybody knows IT stuff, they know that. They kind of like cornered the market, and we go on their time and all that stuff. We got printers in all the cruisers. Remember I talked to you guys about that before, going electronic. It's all in. I did a grant for that. So we are in the 21st century, rocking and rolling and doing things that are doing it the way it's supposed to be done. Very, very easy to figure out, and the state gets the stuff automatically, the DMV. We've had no issues with it, so very easy system to use. Still waiting on my 2022 cruiser to come in. Usually, before COVID, we get the cruiser in probably June or July. since COVID, we get them in like September, October. I've been told we might not see it until November, December. So, and just, you know, that's just because of everything, I guess.
What will you do with the old cruiser?
We traded in,
Are they gonna really give you anything for it?
$12,000,
Really?
yeah.
Is that
Yeah.
the one with the tailgate lights and the water, the,
Oh, yeah, they all do that. 3 of them have water in the tailgates, yeah, that's like a bad setup through Ford, but yeah. Every year it's different, the one that we're trading in is a 2018, doesn't have super high mileage. I don't know what rhyme or reason they go with, you know, the year before that it was 7,500 with the, kind of like the same car, I mean.
It's actually from the chipset shortage. It's raised demand in the used car market.
Yeah,
because
that's
people have
probably,
to
yeah.
Wait
Sure,
so long
right.
for the newer vehicles.
Right.
So
Yeah.
it's a good time to trade in an older vehicle.
Yeah, so, I know. No issues so far with the 300 celebrations, everything, went very well. Parades, fireworks, bonfires, right, encampments, police presence were at all of them, and we have no issues on our ends. I mean, same stuff that we always have to deal with, coordinating, shutting down roads, keeping people safe, but we actually, had no issues, and it's been very smooth, thank goodness, so. Shout out to the 300th committee for keeping in touch with me and doing everything that we can do, so. We've done a lot of training, just like we always do. The training every year is gonna, I've told you guys, tried to keep you guys informed of it. Our in-service training every year for police officers has incrementally increased for many reasons. So this year we really pounded a lot of training. I got a lot of, training. I actually use this room a lot to do like in-house training. Had people come in from Seacoast Mental Health, DCOIF, and the Child Advocacy Center. Cause we're really, I can talk about it just really quickly. We're trending higher, like, a lot more calls for service this year. Our arrests are up, accidents are up, calls for service, scams are huge right now, cyber scams. And really just domestic violence and mental health and juvenile stuff is at an all-time high right now. And so I brought in a lot of expertise in those areas to kind of like help my staff out in dealing with these types of calls that we're getting and making sure that we're all like communicating the best way and getting people the services that they need. Because a lot of stuff that we're really dealing with right now, you know, crime is stemming from it, but it really, at the heart of it, it's the mental health aspect. And so I've really tried to get my officers a lot of information, you know, to help them do their jobs. That tied everything back in together, so that's cool. I don't know if I told you guys that we do have a chaplain that we have now. Gary Anderson stepped up and he reached out to us, and he's now the police department's chaplain. He works with the fire department as well. And stuff like that is, people don't like to say it a lot, but it's so instrumental for us. I mean, at the end of the day, the police officers are human, you know, we go out there and we see all this bad stuff, and, you know, especially even when I grew up in the ranks, like, you don't talk about it, you're not supposed to, you're weak if you do. So a lot of things have changed in that regard, and he's come on board and has really been a resource. He tries to be at all of our department meetings, and really put himself out there for my officers, which I think is huge. When we're dealing with a lot of suicide rates on police officers are really high right now, and we're having a lot of, you know, community-wide, nationwide, you know, a lot of turnover. You know, you see officers, we just lost 2 back-to-back. I mean, people are just, you know, department hopping and looking for the right fit and not really not knowing if they want to be police officers. So I think having resources on the department, bringing in the trainings that I have, has really helped the morale of my officers, and that's what I keep trying to do, because like I said, at the end of the day, I think it's easy to forget that we all are human. We put our, you know, pants on the same way, and we see pretty bad stuff. I know we sign up for it, obviously, but we can't forget about that. All in all, I have no issues, obviously, to report on the police side. We're still 24/7, responding to calls, busy, doing the best that we can. Yeah, and does anybody have anything specific before I get into CIP?
Oh, well, yeah,
Yeah.
that was one. But the other thing, I was just looking back through my notes, and it was April.
Oh, okay, that makes sense when we talk.
got together.
Yep.
One of the things we talked about at the time was, you know, trying to think about creative ways, to drive retention, right?
Right.
Officer retention.
Yep.
And then part of that discussion was also about how do we ensure that people are actually taking the vacation that they should?
Yes, yes.
Has that changed at all? or-
Yes, so I can tell you, because I made it my mission, obviously, to really stay on my officers and really, you know, make sure that it happens. So to date, everybody is up to date with their vacations. Everybody is getting the vacations that they need. And I've had department meetings and went out of my way to specifically say, even though we're short-staffed, you will go on vacation and we will make it happen. And, you know, a lot of times, obviously, without said, you know, it's me stepping in to fill in, which happy to do.
Yeah.
But to cover those patrol shifts, so my officers can get the time that they need that break away from work. And, you know, they're quite deserving of it, obviously. So, yes, I've handled that issue.
Right.
And again, I think that was just a lot of old school mentalities of doing business, but we're good.
Yeah, good. Awesome.
Yes, thank you for asking about that, because it's important.
CIP.
CIP, yeah, so, I've only got a couple things on there, 3 things. The one is, you know, the cruiser, like 2023, we always put the cruiser in the CIP. This year, what I would be, looking to do, and this would be a, you know, a budgetary thing, is we have 4 fleet vehicles, we have 4 cruisers. We've maintained that for probably 20 years or more. I would be looking this year when I get a new cruiser, to not trade in a cruiser, to actually retain it. And so it would increase my fleet to 5. So what would be not getting obviously is that trade-in value, right? And then we would outfit that new cruiser. So the equipment line would go up. But that is for many reasons, all of which I can tell you about. We're really, we're not gonna be able to sustain working with the 4 cruisers with everything that we have going on. And sometimes we find ourselves, like, say if 2 cruisers need service, right, or somebody's at court or training or takes a detail, because, you know, we can take details. You can find yourself with 1 cruiser and then being short and not having another cruiser to even respond to a call with. If I'm there during the day as admin, if there's a hot call, I go on that call, obviously. I mean, there's been days where I'm like, I have no cruiser. Does that make sense? Can I explain that anymore? Or? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Did you say that, like, so if you retain that one instead of trading it in?
Yep.
You would use what's in the existing car to outfit the new one? Or
No,
you
so
would have
it
to?
would be a whole new outfit. So I'm retaining that car, keeping it, I'm not getting any trade-in, I'm getting the new car and outfitting it.
Okay.
Make sense?
Yep.
But that's for that 1 year.
For that 1 year, exactly.
In 24, you would
Right,
be
and
able
so,
to trade in your oldest.
so what happens, we do like a car's, if you think about the rotation, if there's 4, it's good for 4 years, so it would increase that rotation to 5 years. So we would keep the longest running car for 5 years. Which really, it makes sense, and I would always recommend to do that. You guys know how many miles the town is and the roads that we do, and just the things that we are, like how a cruiser needs to be driven. I mean, you don't really wanna retain them any longer than that. You're not getting any trade-in, and then you're gonna have major mechanical issues with them.
But if we're leasing these cars.
We
is
do
that
not
right?
lease the cars.
We buy them outright?
We buy them
Oh,
outright.
okay, I thought you said we would lease them.
No, we buy them outright.
Okay.
So now
that-
we're gonna buy one every 5 years and every 4. Perfect. Right?
No, every year, it's in my budget.
Right, so every year we're still gonna we're doing now, we're just gonna
Just
keep trading
everything,
one.
yeah, nothing,
Yeah,
one
you
year,
said
you-
life cycle of the
yeah,
vehicle.
exactly, yeah.
Right.
5 years instead of
Absolutely,
4.
yeah.
What's the, in terms of maintenance, what's the expectation of major issues, mechanical issues in year 4 to 5, as opposed to up to that point?
You know, I don't know, cause we've never had a car over 5, to the 4th to the 5th year. So that's a good question that I don't think I can answer. I don't know, sorry.
That's all right.
I wish I could answer that.
Probably about the same as the difference between your car between 4 and 5 years.
Yeah, I mean,
Only
I
a
don't
little
know.
more.
My car
yeah.
doesn't get the kind of beating that the
Yeah,
cruisers
that's fair.
do, but,
Yeah, that's
but
fair.
still, yeah.
If you ask if I think it'll last in no major issues, probably normally, yeah. And then there's always that one time where, like, Ford builds the Cruiser the wrong way. I hate to say that, Ford's not leaking in right now, I'm just kidding. She doesn't like Ford, no, but does that make sense? Yeah,
The workload on each is gonna go down
right,
True,
fractionally.
yeah,
yeah.
That's true.
I'm thinking in comparison to
Yeah.
computers,
And
right? Computers are good for
Right,
up to 5
the
years,
shelf life,
right?
yeah.
In the first 3 years, you can generally trust them. Year 4, you kinda know
Yeah.
weird stuff's gonna start to happen. Year 4 to 5,
right.
yeah, you know.
We have a really good
I know,
program
I
too,
do,
we
11
rotate the
years.
cruisers, obviously, so we don't drive the same cruiser every, so we try, that's how we try to keep things making sense, keep the same number of miles, maintenance low, so to speak, yeah.
So what's request number 2?
So number 2 is, where am I? MDTs. So that's just putting, it in there saying that, yes, my MDTs, the 4 that we have, the mobile data terminals, are from 2019. There's a 3 to 5 year shelf life. So I'd be looking not in 2023, but in 2024, definitely getting, upgrading new MDTs. There is a highway safety grant that I can apply to, which I will. Sorry.
MDT,
yeah.
Mobile Data Terminal.
But there's a grant for it up to $10,000 for reimbursement, so I would do that to get that back. So yeah, so we have 4 MDTs right now. They all run with a Nighthawk, to get better coverage, better service. That seems to be working better. So we haven't sent out, remember last year, our line went up because we had to send a lot of MDTs out to get maintenance and stuff like that. I think we've, kind of figured everything out, so to speak, and got those Nighthawks. So they'll be good for another year, but after that, we're gonna wanna change them out. So I'd be looking to do that in 2024. And
And number 3?
number 3 is the new and improved, I don't know what we're calling it. I kind of, creation of new expandable trust fund for the PD. We have a lot of high-ticket items now with all of the new, stuff that we have, the mobile data terminals, cruiser cameras, tasers, radar units, service and storage, printers in the cruisers, things that, really if something went down or, to replace it costs a lot of money. And I was thinking in my head, like, I know that other departments do it, they have some kind of, they build a fund over time to have it just for those types of situations. If something comes up, funds are already available to use, to be able to do that.
So it's like emergency funds.
Kind of, I mean, maybe Chris can speak to it more. I kind of put it on him and said, hey, can we get some kind of, so we're not,
Immediate need.
and so we're not burdening the taxpayers all at once too. It feels like everything that I have to do on my end has been a warrant article all the time.
Well, isn't that basically what you're gonna ask for the town, is to put a warrant article?
It
Set
is.
up a special fund for you until you reach a set number.
Right. But it's not gonna be like a warrant article every year, like, I need radar units, can I get a warrant article for radar units? Or I need MDTs, can I do a warrant?
So would we be asking the voters to put a certain amount of money in every year to cover expenses? So versus doing the individual warrant articles?
I think it might be both. It might sometimes come
I
into
mean, you
both.
think about it, like the highway department, for example, we've got that standing warrant article to make that annual deposit, but then when something needs to be purchased, there's a warrant article to buy X, to be, funded from the whatever, the highway vehicle ETF, so.
In using an ETF, what Fawn and I were thinking was
CRF.
you could do it that way and go back to town meeting every time you wanna spend from it. We were thinking that a trust fund with you as the agents would allow for that emergency replacement first and foremost. We have a unit goes down, it's a $3,000 thing, and if its printer goes or cruiser rolls over or something, we've got money outside of the budget process that the police chief can come to you and say, hey, I need a quick $4,000 cause our whatever just crashed. Second thing would be
How do we fund that money?
just a warrant article every every year like you do for,
10,000 every year.
yeah, pick a number, but.
Whatever the number.
Put it in a fund that is available for you to use throughout the year. If we did that at a level that could cover a lot of this normal replacement stuff, then we
But
could
it'd be
also.
specific for the police department only.
Yeah, for.
Because if we're gonna put it in there, we have to be specific
Yeah,
about
you
where the
detail
money is going.
Yeah,
You have to use it for whatever
Very
the
detailed.
That's why I just wanna
purpose
make
is.
sure that's not a.
yeah. Other towns do it, police departments have.
It also could, because we have some visibility with the, we will, if we knew that we had this fund, it would be pretty easy to come up with a life cycle map and say, okay,
Right.
we're gonna replace our MDTs in this year, and we're gonna replace the printers the year after, and we're gonna, whatever.
Yeah.
If you know the money's gonna be there, then you can map that
So
out
it's-
pretty cleanly and even out the tax impact, where you're not.
So it's like the fire truck, where we put in X amount of money every year, we do the highway department, we're putting for a truck, we put it,
difference
let's set
is-
aside X amount every
You
year.
can do it that way as a capital reserve fund, but then you go back to town meeting and ask to take money out of it.
And that's for a highway truck,
Right.
whereas this could be printers or
Yeah.
balloons or whatever, vests.
Planned and unplanned expenses.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Did
Just
you,
trying to make it clear for people to know what we're,
yeah,
where this is going, and
Yeah.
how it's gonna look on
It's
paper.
an alternate way to pay for the same stuff.
Oh, absolutely, I understand what it is, but I'm sure the way we discuss it here with what we know, what people don't know, just to be a little transparent on how it's going to be done.
when did you wanna introduce that? Was this coming cycle?
I would, yes.
Yeah, and we can put more work into what's the annual number.
Right,
Yeah.
And does it,
If
it
there's
just
a
keeps
desire to
building though?
pursue it, we're not gonna do all that if there's no interest in it.
It keeps building and building, so I mean, not before too long, I mean, if they're not using it, people are gonna see, take the.
well, I
money
definitely
and-
think that we'll
Oh, it'll be
use it,
used.
yeah.
Get used for sure.
Okay, we'd wanna,
You can almost think of it as like the invasive species fund.
Oh,
That's,
jeez.
that
Well,
is,
no, I
You're
guess
not comparing me.
That's what it is.
that's.
But yeah, I know what you're saying, the yeah, yeah.
But there's a purpose for it, and it's being used because of what's
Right.
going on, you're gonna do
Yeah.
the same thing.
Yeah, my
Well,
point,
for purpose.
yeah, my whole, theory on it was like not to keep having to like burden the taxpayer and like, it's a smart way to do it. I mean, if this was my personal life and I had all
budget.
these, it's a good thank you. And I was like, I
everybody
can't be
won.
the only one that's thinking this, so what did I do? I looked it up and other police departments have these type of funds because of all the things that we carry that is so much expensive that if something happens, I need that, so I can't go without it.
Yep.
You know, it's,
so Fawn, we're just gonna have to do a good job of making sure that we explain it to voters and we
Right.
give examples of how it would and wouldn't be
Yeah.
used. Okay, so
And
yeah,
comparison.
absolutely.
we can work on that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Illustrate with comparisons of other departments that do
Correct.
the same thing.
Oh, yeah, absolutely, yeah. I
At this
want-
point, how many departments don't have one of these? Not many. A fund of some kind.
Oh, yeah, no, it's very, it's very
You know,
common.
the school has it,
Right.
the highway has it.
Yeah.
Library has it. Library? No?
That might be the only department.
We've got one for town hall, like for the furnace and,
Yeah,
you know, it's.
That's
yeah.
all, yeah.
okay,
I just thought it would be a smart way to budget,
makes sense.
and, if I can articulate it, I will articulate it better when it comes to.
We'll work with you on that.
Listen, we need it.
Well, you know what, Fawn, it will be no problem. He won't be here, but
Yeah.
you can call him. You have
He's
his,
my liaison.
you have his home phone number, right?
I do. No, I have his cell. I mean, I think that's everybody's home phone
Yeah,
number at this
exactly.
point.
My old self.
Da-dum. No, but like I said,
Auburn's only a 15-minute ride.
I just thought it was a good way to,
No, that's good.
yeah, and obviously be very transparent about it.
All right, anything else?
No, I just think that, yeah, leaving on that note, I don't want Chris to cry, but I think that I definitely, this is the only time you're gonna get this from me too, so I just wanted to thank you. Obviously, I've known Chris for as long as he's been here. I had my previous, I think 8 years before that was with another, TA, but, and no comparison, obviously. I'm just saying, I've known Chris a long time and what he had to do and how, transparent he's been and with even my process, what I went through and, to become the police chief, and, he was always super professional and transparent and forthcoming, and I am, it's sad to see you go, but, you're off to different things, so I wish you well. But don't be a stranger to Nottingham, because I know you don't live very far, so.
Just don't
Don't worry, I'll continue to get pulled over and.
Yeah, exactly.
Hey, don't speed, because there's no cutting it now.
But yeah, that's all I have to say. But, and thank the board, obviously, thank you guys. And just really quick, I'm giving shout outs. I just wanted to say that, I don't say it a lot, and I think other people always give me praises, but my other department heads that I work with, the rec department, Courtney's invaluable, Sean's invaluable. These people step up, and Jay Vilchuk, and we all work together to get things done in this community. The old saying, we play well in the sandbox, it's huge. So I just want you to know that, somebody who's worked in this town for 15 years, who lives in this town, having a crew of people like that to be able to talk to and communicate with is super important. So, that's it.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
I need
Yeah, MDT, so mobile data. Yeah, sorry. Yep, and they're just computers, they're laptops and softwares, so it, makes us more.
We don't have to be there till tomorrow night after the thing's over, right? Or you're not gonna be.
You're up next, Sean, if you wanna come up and get ready.
I normally would be there, I mean,
I'll go for a little bit, I'm not gonna hang out there for 16
You're up
hours.
next, Sean, if you
No,
wanna come up and
I'd
get
go in
ready.
the morning when it's exciting, and then probably take out for the afternoon where there's nobody, then you come back for the evening routine. That's what I would probably tend to do, just.
Thank you all.
You guys.
Yes.
Nice thing to do.
And just like that.
Oh, okay. Right.
That's what I just, but
I got no issue with that.
I'll be in Washington, man.
There you go, you can go to,
Go see the Pentagon.
you go to the Dubliner.
Maybe.
Go to the Dubliner, the bar.
Oh, I'm literally not in, I'm in Washington for like 24 hours.
Oh, that's it?
That's it.
Should have seen it all just before, just give them another handout at the same time.
Oh, okay.
That's what we talked about.
So we gotta do that too.
Yeah,
He's gonna make himself look good. Yes. No, I lost two. A part-time, I moved in one of the spots.
Well, these things here, they gotta be warrant articles too,
A
though.
whole pile of quotes.
What, you looking for a job, Steve? You wanna come on board?
I don't know about that paving. These have to be warrant articles, don't they?
What's that?
Stuff he's got?
What is it?
Just
Pile of quotes for different things.
Oh.
It's like his CIP list, you mean, or?
Oh,
No, I think this is current work.
Yeah, one was, we already talked about, it was for the covering of the sheds.
Oh, yeah, but Haven Marston now?
Well,
One of
that's
them-
brand new,
yeah, that's new, we gotta talk about that.
you know.
Excuse me.
I'm happy that's getting a lot of traffic. But I understand that people do need directions of lines in order to make things, I'll say that.
The problem is that it's spilling out over onto the street. All right. Sean, apologies again for how late we've run tonight.
Oh, Steve,
What? Steve, sit down. All right, highway. Hey, Sean.
hi. CIP, you wanna start with that?
Sure.
Now, give them a little update of where you are and what's going on first, don't dive right
Alright,
into
so
all of it.
where we're at. We've hired a new employee, so I only have one vacancy now. His name is Hunter Rampos. He's 25, 26 years old, good kid, knows what he's doing, came with a CDL.
Local, somewhat,
Pardon me?
live around here?
Yes, he lives in Barrington.
Perfect.
Is that, we're preparing, for paving that's going to be starting on September 26th this year. Flutter Street will be ground, Oak Ridge will be ground. and, it'll be winter-based for those two roads. Case will be shimmed and overlaid, and Little John will be paved as well. So we have done all the culvert replacements for those. We're doing the shouldering work now on that as well. Chris talked about the signs for the name changes of the roads. We've started installing all those and covering up. We're moving into your territory is the last one over at Mindell. That seems to be the most extensive for the signage. Putting out fires as they come up. The winter equipment, as far as the plows and the sanders, that's all set to go. Winter sand is being screened as we speak. Not tonight, but, you know, it's in the process of stockpiling for that.
Contracts for,
Snow plowing, I have all the routes covered. I have verbals from all the contractors that we had last year. Now I have to send out and do the contracts, but we're all on board. We have all but one route covered, but we'll make it work. So, vehicles are in the process of being inspected now. The new truck is slated to arrive finally in Manchester tomorrow. It's been a long time coming. It was supposed to have been here last month, but it failed its safety inspection. It had two drive shafts fail upon inspection at the factory and at Mac. So that delayed the delivery of the truck.
This is the one that was approved.
2 years ago?
Yeah. But all the equipment for the outfitting of the truck is on the ground at the vendor's site, so hopefully it'll be a quick turnaround and we can have that before December 1st.
December?
December, yeah.
Takes that long, huh?
To outfit them, yeah. Well, because it's gonna be, if it arrives at tomorrow in Manchester, it'll be there all week, going through their safety inspections and what they have to do there at the dealership before then it's transported up to Hopkinton, where it'll be outfitted. So, that's about it.
Questions?
what are we doing with the old truck?
Pardon me?
Are we getting rid of one of the other trucks?
We have a truck, what about, yeah, we have the International.
Right. We have 3 dump trucks.
Four.
We have 4 10-wheelers.
We have 3 10-wheelers and 1 6-wheeler.
Right. Mm-hmm. We're getting a 10-wheeler.
Correct.
So now we're gonna have 4 10-wheelers.
No, we're trading, or.
That's what I'm asking. We're
Yes,
trading
I
one.
didn't hear you correctly.
Sorry, so we're getting rid of the oldest
Correct, we're
one.
getting rid of the 2006 International.
Okay. I just wanna make sure people know that we aren't adding to our fleet.
No,
We're
no, no.
maintaining a fleet.
We're maintaining the same inventory.
Correct.
Anything else? Questions, anything? CIP?
CIP. All right, is this a specific spot you want to start, or you have a question? Have you seen the CIP?
Not yet, start wherever.
Have you sent it to us? You did. I figured you did,
Yeah, you talked about it
a while ago.
last meeting or 2 meetings ago.
So, for this budget season coming up, I'm going to be asking for the telehandler at the recycling center to be replaced with a backhoe. That piece of equipment is costing a lot of money in repairs. It has a lot of electronic issues, and repairs have been quite extensive and very costly. The piece of equipment is not the right piece of equipment.
So wait, I'm sorry, which one was that?
That is the telehandler at the recycling center, replacing that with a backhoe.
Isn't there another name for that? A Lund or a Lull or?
Well, that's what they call it, a telehandler. They used to call them a lull. A lull's
what
a
I-
different,
That's the one with the big boom arm.
yeah, it's the same thing.
But if I'm looking at the CIP thing, I don't see it.
you looking at?
I'm looking at something, the preview that came to us on August 5th.
Well, keep talking, Sean, we'll figure out where it is on the chart.
Is there any questions, more questions about that? What's that? Replacing the telehandled recycling center backhoe.
When you wanted that done, this year?
That's what I'm proposing,
Wait, are you saying it's a backhoe?
replacing it with a backhoe.
Okay, so that's why you've got backhoe on here.
Yes, well, the project is to replace the telehandler at the recycling center with the 2022 Caterpillar 415 backhoe.
Which is 125K.
Correct.
Got it, okay.
And you'll be able to use that backhoe elsewhere if
So
you,
that also would be a backup to us in the winter months in case something, a loader goes down or something. And it would be able to be used in other aspects.
Okay.
Placing the I don't call it a lull, but whatever.
The piece of machinery at the recycling center, the existing heavy equipment.
Is there a way for you, and again, I'm asking this because it's gonna benefit you. Do we have the list of expenses of what we spent to repair and fix for that machine?
Yes, I can produce that.
To show that it is a problem and that it is things. Now, are we gonna trade that machine or are we gonna keep it?
We're gonna trade it.
Okay, so there is a set value for that, which we're
I
gonna
don't know
put
what that
towards.
will be from Caterpillar. I'm heard from Bobcat that my machine may only be worth $20,000 to $25,000.
That's still 25,000
exactly.
bucks. It's not,
But that was a surprise to me, being based on the specialty of the equipment. So,
we don't have another use for it in town.
no.
Okay, good, that's. These are things that are, when we come to budget, you
Yep.
know they're gonna come up.
Exactly.
So I'm just prepping to,
Asking the questions now.
yep. Next.
The other thing for the other piece of equipment is for 2023 is to replace the 2012 Ford F-350. It's got over 130,000 miles on it. The truck has reached its service expectation. It's mounting repair costs, starting to be generated, and it's no longer a reliable vehicle for snow plowing or sanding. The truck will be equipped, the new truck will be equipped with a plow and have a utility body on it. Trade-in value is unknown on the current piece of equipment we have now. And the cost of that, to outfit that truck, is $104,000.
So we're taking from what you just said, and again, I'm not trying to critique you, but I know this is going to come up, and I wanna basically prepare you from what you're telling us now.
Yeah.
I'm giving you the heads up of what I think you're gonna face. You mentioned the truck we're gonna be getting rid of was used for sanding.
Yep.
This new truck will not be used for sanding.
Nope.
It'll be a straight utility vehicle for holding equipment as drills, whatever.
So chainsaws, sign equipment, hand tools, cut-off saws, things of that nature.
portable shop.
Correct.
Again, that's very important when
And
we're
with that
selling
and with that being said, that the current F-350 that I'm asking to replace, we haven't used it as in the sanding capacity in over 2 years. The sander that goes in it has not been reliable.
But is that a dump body that's on that one?
No, it's not.
Okay, it's just a flatbed.
Yeah. And actually, that truck was was modified from a regular pickup truck to a utility truck, and it had, one of the employees customized and put a flatbed on it, and they put some toolboxes on it, and that's how it became the utility truck that it is. That truck has been in a few accidents as well.
Will the new truck be another 350? Cause I'm sure that'll come up again.
Yes, it won't be, yes, it'll be another 350.
Be ready for that.
Yep.
That conversation too.
2024, do you want to go through that?
Talk about the smaller stuff too, we've still got, well, salt shed, we've already talked about, but we want We have that listed for coming year, fuel tanks.
So the salt shed, I gave you a packet from Iron Horse. We discussed this back, I don't know, in July perhaps it was.
Yeah.
We need to repair that, it's $31,000.
I brought that to the attention of the budget committee that might be coming up.
Yeah,
So I was trying to give them this might be a future expense that we can't, avoid.
Yep.
Was this ARPA eligible or no? It is?
yeah.
Cool. You bet. I didn't say
We're
that.
gonna- We'll come back to several of these things later in the program here when you start talking about some of your new revenues.
Okay.
So as you know, the fuel tanks at the Flutter Street garage have been in temporary shutdown. It's all been legalized. GAF did it, and we're all registered with the state. We had a 2-year window to make a decision on what's gonna happen with those tanks, and if they're coming out of the ground, that needs to be done. And was the consensus that they need to be removed. We're in a safety-sensitive area down there along that river. So the money to do that is $31,000. That is in that,
So,
that's
fuel
in that packet I just handed out to you too.
fuel tank removal, you said is 31?
$31,923.
What's that?
The new number.
Okay.
Yeah, that, because the
The
number,
number's moving.
yeah, the number I had was in February. I got an updated number in June.
I would advise that section of this portion, removal, go in front of the conservation, so you can get backing and support for the removal of it,
Yeah.
so that this expense can help. So if there is backlash, you do have the support of them, because again, the area that it's situated in, close to the river, is obviously wants to be protected, so there's a benefit to doing it.
Correct.
You wanna make sure, I think, that they see this and what the expense is and why. Just to make sure that we can expedite this and get it taken care of.
Yes.
Yeah, and I also want to say, Sean, that, like, we're not saying you be prepared, we're throwing you out there to defend all this, we will be, you know,
Yeah,
right there with you.
But I'm just, we have a packet here, let's make sure some of this stuff gets to the right,
Yeah,
let's help,
I think that's
let's
great.
help the packets.
That's a great idea. Yeah,
you know, and getting on some people that we know we can probably maybe get support from in order to make sure these things get.
Yeah, understood.
Okay.
I have talked to a couple people on the Concom
Good, just-
about that, and they're all on board with it as well, but I can formally get that endorsement.
Yeah, that would be, that would help, thank you. Okay, go on, sorry.
All right, thirdly, on this list is the tire roof. Let me explain that. That is a roof to go over the tires, the tire bin at the recycling center. DES has made they strongly suggest that that be covered because it attracts flies because of the water that stores in those tires.
I thought we had a discussion years ago that we were getting a storage bin or something to put these tires in. Was I wrong about a conversation that we had? Cause I knew this thing came up.
We put a cover on the paper dumpster.
Yeah,
Is that what you're thinking?
No, but there was a conversation about tires, cause we wanted the fire trapped, cause water's gonna get inside those tires, they sit there, they become a breeding ground for mosquitoes and stuff like this.
I vaguely remember that too,
I did,
yeah.
I don't got word for word, but I thought we
I
had
don't
something.
It's been on our
was on-
radar for a while. I
We
don't-
have talked.
So we talked about it, we just didn't get there.
Yeah, I don't think we've ever proposed actually solving it, it's just been on our radar for a while.
Got it.
I think we got this far. Sean's gotten it far enough to figure out what it's gonna cost, how to do it without mucking up the rest of the operation.
Okay, so that's new too, cause that's not on the
That's
copy
new to-
that
right.
I'm looking at, okay.
yeah, and that's in that packet as well,
That's the last item in the packet,
yeah. And that,
contracting out Gary Anderson. Home.
yeah, it's $9,700 to do that. And that would solve that issue over there. I talked to you about the plowing update briefly in the beginning. As I said, I've spoken to all the contractors that are in the game last year, they're in for this year as well. Everything is covered except for one route. But hopefully, we'll have another full-time employee here shortly, and we'll be fully staffed. I'm confident with the staff, even if we're shorthanded, which we were for a period of time last year, that we won't have any problems making everything safe.
What's the lay of the land in that globally? Where's the state with their, what are you hearing? How's everybody else doing with hiring plow drivers?
Everybody is struggling and looking for people. I just heard this today. Haven't confirmed it's true or not, but it's a reliable source that there's a $5,000 incentive being thrown out by the state. $2,500 to start and $2,500 if you make it through the season, for snow plowing.
Wow.
They had an incentive last year, I thought you mentioned too, they were doing something else.
They were doing sitting fees, so if it didn't snow, you were gonna get
You're
a
gonna get paid
stipend for
anyways, right.
just sitting. We're not doing any of those. We're not giving cutting edges of stipends or anything of that. So that's pretty good. As I said, all the municipalities are struggling to find contractors, so we're in a pretty good spot as far as having our plow routes covered.
At higher rates.
Yeah,
Of course.
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, you're gonna see the operating budget move on this line.
You're gonna see it move on this line, and you're gonna see it move on the salt line. Salt line just got another increase, though it's not as dramatic as it was last year, but it's still a $3.60 a ton increase, so, salt, tonnage price is $71 $1.08 a ton now.
And we use,
1,600 tons last year. You gotta remember, last year was a lot of ice.
oh yeah. Do we have a surplus left of salt?
Yeah, we have surplus, so we probably have in there now 200 tons left, and we also have the sand salt mix bin fully stocked, and there's probably another 100 tons that is involved in that mixing process. So, though we have some, and hopefully we can make it through the end of the December, if it doesn't snow. But, we'll see. I believe there's about $8,000 left in that line.
Do we buy our salt according, again, this is just from my own knowledge, so I guess I'm just asking, but do we buy $1,600 on a whack, or do we say,
No, I
we
usually
just
buy,
say, we're just buying what we need and we're budgeting for the fact of purchasing 1,600 tons?
we
you don't
are
have
putting
a
in
lot.
order of, I base the anticipation tonnage amount on the previous winter's usage.
But we're not obligated to buy that much if we don't need it, is my
We
question.
have to, we are obligated under the contract to buy at least 40%.
Oh, that's nothing. 40%'s not, that's fine, that's,
So we budget, I put in for 1,700 tons last year, we used 1,600. We bought 1,600,
so that's why you're gonna do the same for this year?
yes.
Okay. I'm just trying to wrap around how your budget's gonna go.
So
I wanna
with
make
that being
just-
said, and that number being plugged into the increase, you're talking over 120,000 in the salt line now. So are there any more questions about winter operations?
No.
All right, Marston's parking lot, I got involved in this, because I guess I'm just a nice guy.
Because you're the best man for the job.
So anyways, Courtney and I were having a discussion about, things at Marston. There was talk of rocks being put, there's a traffic problem in there, parking problem. Now there's a chain link fence that is gonna be installed, and I was concerned about how they were doing things in plowing it. So I said, well, I asked Courtney, why don't you pave it? And she said, well, I don't know much about it, and I need positive feedback on that. I said, have you gotten an estimate for it yet? No, I says, I can get you one, so I got one. So I have an estimate here from Brock's, who will be doing our paving in 2 weeks. And so happens, they will be right there on Case Road. And they want $36,000 to pave that parking lot.
So my concern with this, all right, and I'm a fan of Marston's, not this. We spent $36,000 to pave it. So the issue is the parking problem that we have now, that people can't park. So do we know that, okay, the way it's now, it looks like we're averaging 40 cars in the parking area. If we pave it and line it, are we getting 60 cars parked properly? Or are we still at the same 40? Because if we're not getting any more logistical space, like doubling it or at least adding where we can get the cars off the road and into that area by paving, I don't see the expense of $36,000 to pave it.
So, first off, it can come out of ARPA,
Okay, again,
so it's not something that has to come out of our budget.
And so if it's if it's paved and lined, there's a specific requirement for the widths and stuff. I'm sure a striping company can come in and take a measurement of what is there and can tell us what we can get for parking.
We're gonna pay for a gate in Marston as well, so they can't go into the parking lot with it. The place is dark out, that would be a hangout for kids, whoever. I mean, I can see it right now, and I know some of the neighbors out there that will go absolutely out of their head. I know for a fact, already not happy about the traffic being there, but if that's gonna become a hangout, and you put a nice parking lot in there, and they'll be, whatever they're gonna be doing in there with motorcycles, who knows? I don't have an issue with it, especially if it's gonna be paid out of some fund that doesn't affect anybody in this town. I mean, I want Marston
Well, we
to have
discussed
lights,
how it's gonna get
I want
paid, that's why I
Marston
was
to be.
asking.
but
What's
it's-
that?
Sorry, I want the best for Marston, I don't wanna put it in jeopardy if this money's gonna be given to us, I guess, to pay for it.
Well,
This has nothing to do with taxpayer money.
our ARPA's funds have already been given to us, so it's a legitimate use under that. Yep. Yep. I mean, I have to believe, I can't give a number, but I have to believe we're gonna be able to get more cars if it's efficient, you don't have people taking up 2 spaces as opposed to 1. Right, I think it will define the parking area better. I think you're the expert, but I think it will make it easier to plow.
Yes, for sure.
You wanna run through what's being considered for parking now? Cause what this is really going after is the center of the parking area, so you've been part of that. The options that are being considered to delineate parking area.
Yeah, what they were looking at was putting in, telephone poles and looking for you, Tyler, to maybe help with that. Just trying to see. Yeah, so they were talking about putting in the poles. I can show you some photos of what that might look like. That's a good. Anyway, I think you had concern about poles, right?
What was the chain link fence that was being talked about putting down the middle?
Yeah, so they were thinking about, like you see, you have that pole right there. And then that's not gonna help, like,
To separate the two parking areas?
it basically is gonna make people park in towards that pole, right? Was the way they were thinking about it.
Honestly,
Yeah, okay.
I'm not up to speed on the
We
parking.
need a couple poles laid out there so they can't, like, they have to stop.
Correct, yeah, exactly, to just kinda like make it line up better. I don't see it as a solution. It's not, to me, it's not gonna address the distance between the cars. It can address the line that they're in, but not, how they're.
Yeah, if somebody parks 4 feet away from the other car, then it's gonna screw the whole thing up.
That's correct,
You need lines, people need lines.
correct, yes.
So,
Do you have an opinion on that, Fawn?
I do, I think they definitely need parking
yeah,
spaces.
so if we pave it, we have to stripe it.
If we pave it, we have to stripe it.
There's no sense of paving without striping it, cause we're not gonna fix the problem. Striping's the only way to fix the problem. My question towards striping, and again, I'm not opposed, especially if the money's we can pay for, without affecting the bottom line of the tax dollar, but is to eliminate the problems that we're having of people parking on the road, people blocking the entrance properly, access, just cleaning it up. We spent all the money on the town, I said, what the town has done and come together to make Marston the way it is, and how beautiful it is, and how nice that they're going. I don't see why you know, we shouldn't pave it, you know, especially if it's not gonna affect the town in cash-wise. It's a good investment to do,
Yep.
for it, but again, striping has to be on the list of getting it done, because people are still gonna park all messed up, and then you won't, we just,
I mean, I think even if we get 10 more cars in there, or 15 more cars in there.
that would be huge.
Yes, that would make a big difference on the impact on the road.
And striping will get that, will accomplish that.
And look at what it does down here. Look how many cars we pile in this place. Imagine if there was no stripes down here.
We've been there.
Right.
Yeah.
Sorry, that was a mess.
We're probably due to tone
Yeah.
those up, actually. It's been a while, yeah.
All right, so Sean kinda needs a decision on that tonight, so that he can line it up and we can take advantage of it being done at the same time.
Right, I
as-
could do a change order with Brock, so I can put notification on, and there's some, maintenance that we need to do, some grading and get prep work done. What we'll do in-house.
So this bid accounts for the existing deployment that they're already doing?
I didn't hear that, can you repeat yourself?
Does that account for the existing deployment? Because, or mobilization, sorry,
Yes, because you'll already be there.
because they're already in the neighborhood. so-
Yeah, there's no mobilization cost built into this, we're
Right,
already
right.
mobilized into town, as far as
Probably
the
parking
contract
there.
goes. Correct.
They're probably parking there overnight while they're doing.
Yeah.
Right, when they're on Case Road, they're probably parked there, yeah.
Yeah, okay.
We're not charging them rent. Sorry.
Courtney's gonna collect the money.
Okay, good. We'll send her over there.
If anybody could get it, she could.
Do we need a vote or just a?
Hey, my only thing too, again, why is it, I mean, this is a rec thing, why does Sean have to bring it here? I mean, not that I don't care, but some people are gonna say, well, what, I don't know, are we trying to fool them or something, or is this something that needs to be done? Does it have to be done? Is there anything else we could use this $36,000 on?
Yes.
I'm just, like I said, I want Marston to be done up when we were all finished, it's gonna be something everybody's gonna say, you know, this is great.
The only reason you're seeing this the way you are is because we have another job going on right there, and it was an opportunity to grab a bid for what's probably a cheap way of doing it. That's the only reason it comes to you in this fashion and this timeline.
Yeah. And it's federal money, not tax dollars. Not local
Yeah.
tax
So like you
dollars.
said, is there something that we can spend the $36,000 on other than this?
Something more important, because there is.
Yeah, there's all kinds of other things that would be eligible for use here. This is not,
However, with that said, we received $537,000 in ARPA funds. We've used about 67,000. So we've got 471,000 in the bank.
And we have a timeline of 5 years to use that, correct?
you've got 3 left.
Yep.
So, not to say, I mean, and if we don't spend it, do we have to give it back?
You'll have no trouble spending it, don't you worry.
Yeah.
But yes, you would have to give it
Well, I
back.
wanna make sure that people know that we're spending it on, you know, good projects and proper things, and not just spending it because,
Yep.
right, but if we don't spend it all, we have to give it back, right?
Oh, yeah.
In theory,
Okay,
yeah.
I don't think anybody plans on giving anything back, but, right?
They can let them come kill it.
No, its use is now so flexible that you will have no trouble spending it on.
There's plenty of money in there, Tyler.
Yeah,
You could, I mean, there's lots of ways you can, if you vote to use ARPA, if you decide you wanna do it and you vote to use ARPA money, you can use ARPA money. You may find at the end of the year that you have other money at your disposal that you could use as well. It's less flexible, so. Yep, and as we talk later about unanticipated revenue and stuff, you've got a few different pockets of money that you have to work with over the next couple of years.
Yep.
I don't say that to try and get you to spend it on this, but you have a lot of flexibility coming and you have a lot of decisions like this coming.
I'm all for it.
We need a motion?
Make a motion, the select board authorize,
Expenditure.
yes, authorize the expenditure of, $36,000 for the paving of the parking lot at the Marston Fields recreational area.
Do you wanna make an ad?
with the money coming from the ARPA fund.
Do we wanna constrain it that way and, without knowing?
Yeah, I
Fine
think
for
so.
now.
I think we will, yeah.
Okay,
You can undo that later if you need to,
Okay.
but it's better to have it
No,
now.
I think that's,
with
that's,
the
I think
funds
it's a good
coming,
ad.
yeah,
I think it's a good ad.
with the money coming from the allocated ARPA funds for the town.
I'll second it.
All in favor? What else you need, Sean?
Do you wanna improve the roof at the tires?
Or the salt shed.
Oh, so that's the-
Salt shed roof is in the same bucket of,
Yeah.
when do you wanna go forward with it? You already said we kinda need to do that.
You wanna spend the ARPA money on that as well?
Yes.
Which one is that here? Oh, that's the first one, okay.
Wait, this,
So 31.5,
okay, the first one, yeah.
Yeah.
yep.
Just to go over, since we're talking about this one here, we talked about it before, 31.5. Each building was to be 10.5 to do. The lifespan we had on the ones that are there now was about 15 years, correct?
I think it was built in 2009, yeah. Roughly 15 years.
Right. So we'll call that, we are expecting to get the same out of probably these?
Yes.
Okay, so this is a good valuable project that's going to save us, since it's $71 a ton for salt.
Right,
that
so we
need
won't
to
have any
protect our
water.
Salt,
Right,
cause it can't get wet during the winter.
that's correct.
So we need this to protect our investment to salt the roads for proper, safe driving.
Correct.
Okay.
And this is ARPA.
Want it to be.
Want it to be ARPA?
Absolutely.
Yeah, let the feds pay for it. All right, I'll make a motion, the select board authorize the expenditure of $31,500 from the town's allocated ARPA funds for the replacement, salt shed structures.
Second?
I'll second it.
All in favor? And we wanna do the fuel tank, we wanna talk about the fuel tank? Looking for that tonight too?
That's up to you. We can use, we could use, the new highway money for that as well. I think you're gonna probably end up, at the end of the year, you're probably gonna end up shuffling some of these things around. If you've decided you wanna do it and you don't wanna make it part of the budget process, then the cleanest way to do that would say, yeah, go ahead, use ARPA for it. If you wanna, you know, shuffle the dollars around at year end, you still have the ability to do that, but that would get the project done this year and get it, it would take it out of the budget process. We're gonna have to propose it in '23 if we don't do it now with ARPA money, but.
So what do we do now? If like we use the ARPA money now, we won't have to worry about it as a budgetary line item come next year.
Correct. It'll be done and paid for.
It's something that's gotta be done,
Oh, it does. Environmentally, it has to be done.
yeah.
You know, it's sitting there the way it is, it's just gonna be a problem for the future, so. Whether you take care of your problem now and fix it, or you don't, or you wait till it becomes a bigger problem. So, if you don't take care of it, somebody could probably end up suing us for not taking care of it.
Longer we wait, the more expensive it
Yeah,
gets.
it's been there forever. I mean, again, nobody had concerns about it
Well, cause we were
3 years
using it.
ago. So it doesn't really matter. I mean, there's probably, we have a lot of landmines sitting around this town.
Oh, I'm sure.
You know, they've been there forever. We
Yeah.
got one of the emails in the, here this week, that, you know, they're just waiting to come up and,
Find something else.
I mean, like I said, I don't have an issue either, but I thought you made the, suggestion to get the Conservation Commission, so they were on, everybody's side, and, but.
Yeah, but we still gotta find a way to pay for it.
Oh, I know.
We're just asking
Well,
for
we
their
have a way.
blessing.
I mean, do we have to do it this meeting, or can we do it the next meeting? We can still pay next meeting with this money,
Yeah, we can
right?
still put this off there, that's
Yeah, I
fine.
mean, this one is not as time sensitive as the salt shed
Right, we still have
covers.
another year, we're approaching the first year of our window, we have a 2-year window.
Okay.
This one is not as time sensitive as the salt sheds. We're about to, you know, we're about to come into the season where the salt sheds are busy and full of salt.
I mean, the
That was
conditions now, rain's affecting our 200 tons that's sitting there now, it's all hardened up and stuff, so yeah, the roofs are a
I
necessity.
mean, the roofs, we already did the roofs, right? We said that already.
Yep.
Yeah.
Talking about the tank.
Right,
Right, there's no rush
I
on
have
that.
no issue with that.
So there's no rush, but what's the downside of doing it now? If we know it needs to be done, why not do it now? Is there like a capacity issue for you guys, or?
no, nothing at all. I mean, the only suggestion was, I don't know, if it was bringing Concom and getting them involved in their endorsement on it.
But that's if it was going to town meeting or a deliberative session.
Well, again, yeah, I was just, right, if we can take this out, you know, again. As long as what we do here benefits in my opinion, benefits the town at a way that it does not affect the taxpayers' budget, because there are other things that are gonna affect that. But projects like this, if we can get it so it's not affecting their bottom line on their tax card, then, you know, I'm for doing it that way, obviously, because I don't wanna see the burden put later on down in the town, when we could've fixed it under a way where it wasn't going to be. That's how I'm looking at it.
Yeah, I mean, I agree, I don't know I guess I'm not sure what the benefit of waiting till next meeting on it is, if we know it has to be done.
Well, if we go the ARPA way of doing it, then we don't need the blessing for I mean, obviously, they're gonna give our blessing anyways, I presume. That we're gonna take something that's potentially harmful for the environment out of the ground. Can't see anything negative about that. And doing it the way we're using government-funded money to clean up.
Chris, any conceivable reason to wait versus,
Well, yeah, if you wanna think about it in the bigger context of all the other things you might wanna do with this money, there's no reason to rush into this one. I think you're gonna face it. We have to propose it for next year because we're gonna run out of time and we're gonna have to do it. If you don't do it this year, you risk the voters saying no somehow.
Why would the voter, can't we use ARPA again next year?
Yes.
yeah, we can, so we can put it on.
So we could be in the same situation we are next year without having the voters get involved,
Yes, if you
And
still
again, I'm
have
not trying
ARPA
to-
money, yes.
if we still have money left in the fund.
Yep. Yeah, the only risk, I guess, in that scenario is inflation.
Right, the cost of doing it, so this took a $6,000 increase in 6 months because of what's going on with the economy. It went from 25,000 to 31,000 for for this removal.
That's a good point, the cost of this is gonna go up, but the ARPA money's not going up. It's there, it's fixed, and every time we tap into it, it gets smaller.
Okay, I'll make a motion, we, go ahead, $31,923.26 from the ARPA fund to pay to get rid of the tank.
Second.
All in favor? Christmas, Sean.
Feels it.
So those three things together was about 100,000 out of
Yep.
that
Yep.
ARPA balance. 100,000 and
Yep,
change.
so it's still about 370 from that source of revenue.
Right.
And we'll be talking about other sources of revenue.
Next.
What else, Sean?
The roof for the tires.
And that's 5,200?
No,
No,
the roof,
96.
no,
9790.
9,700.
Will that be a drive-in, drive-out facility? Like, how's it gonna work? It's just a roof shed that's like
Yeah, just whatever keeps the water off the tire.
no sides on it,
Yes, there's sides on it.
on all four sides, or?
No,
Two?
two sides and a shed roof attached to the
Shed
building.
roof or a lean-to? Or
Lean-to.
like a, right,
Whole shed roof.
Two-sided lean-to attached to existing waste blocks.
Yes. Well, if you're familiar with the way it's set up now, we have what we call the mafia blocks that are stacked up there, and
This is behind the shed.
correct, it's where the glass is, right next to the glass bin is the compactor, the glass, and then the tires.
Where the tires are now, obviously, yeah.
It's
never-
just, we're putting a roof over that and attaching it to the building.
That was the structure of the building there.
Gary doesn't see any
Okay.
problem with it.
Just
He-
asking. I probably should ask him, but,
He actually took a tour of the building, a few weeks ago with me.
okay. Is he gonna paint it too to match the shed? I'm just kidding. We wanted to make it look nice.
I'll ask.
Why don't you ask?
Can we get that as a Boy Scout project? No, there's glass and stuff, I wouldn't go over there.
Thoughts?
Is there any, well, I guess we could, one way to look at this is that you hope that even down the road, if something changed with the location because of the tires, that we don't use this into shed area for something else necessary, for recycling. It's any overhang of enclosure towards any building is always a benefit to keep weather off. Or something that could be added to or fixed to be a better storage area, depending on how our recycling needs go. I don't wanna spend any more money on the recycling center, that's for sure, but I understand the, benefit of it.
What's that?
What, the benefit of it?
Benefit of it.
Well, I guess, you're right, now you question the
Pain in the
benefit.
ass, isn't it?
Yeah, we're worried about mosquitoes, I guess, and tires getting wet. West Nile, and you start throwing out all the different things, I guess.
Does this money, would this money come out of the fund as well?
Yeah, that's what's readily available to you, if you wanna use it, yes, that's.
I guess I'm just asking for the answer. I'm trying to find a better reason to say, besides just protecting tires, is there a future benefit for the town to have this structure attached to the building? Is this something where we might be able to utilize it later on for something else, as a structure on the building? I'm just trying to rationalize the cost of 10 grand to cover rubber tires, old beat up rubber tires. And obviously we can't get rid of the tires in a timely fashion, is the reason why we have to have this storage in order to cover them, because it might take a year or 6 months, whatever, before we fill up to enough tires for any company that wants to use them to come get them. They ain't gonna come pick up 4 tires just cause somebody dropped them off. They're gonna wait till there's 150 tires in there before they come. So it's, you wanna make sure, I don't know if it's an investment or if it's just trying to sell myself on the idea, I don't know.
Another point to look at this too is part of the, it's a strong suggestion from the DES. DES rules are changing, we're a permit process up there, there's certain rules and regulations that need to be followed.
That's a
strong-
great point, Sean. DES, throw that in there. This is
And
stuff
so,
we need.
DES has had a change in personnel, there is random inspections happening now constantly throughout this state, as we have new people on board, and inspections dropped off when the pandemic struck.
So so DES is recommending that all these facilities that store tires be undercover?
Correct.
So this is actually like a government standard, not a government law, but a strong suggestion from
Correct.
our Department of Environmental Services that these are actions we should be taking
Yes.
in order to protect residents, protect whatever, just,
Safety and hygiene.
right.
You don't want people contracting West Nile when they come to.
Make a motion, we hold off on this one till the next meeting. End all discussion on it now.
Don't bother me.
Need a second?
Second.
All in favor? Sorry, Sean.
That's fine.
Is that it?
there anything else we'd like to talk about?
I think we're good. Anybody have anything for Sean?
We're about halfway through the agenda, so.
Yeah.
Thank you, Sean, and thank you for your patience as we've run so late.
Let's just stay up all night. Roll on.
All right, let's go back to, NHMA policy process. I will follow my own sword and say that I did not look through these. Did anybody else look through them?
I didn't look through every one of them, but I've been looking through, I don't see nothing.
Did anybody have anything strongly that they wanted Chris to pursue? Do we want Chris to go to this meeting on behalf of us? Is there any particular area we want him to focus on? The meeting's next week.
Yeah, I'm gonna say a week from Friday.
Yeah, like the 22nd or something, yeah. Or the 23rd, I guess that would be. I mean, I don't think we wanna take the time now at 9 PM to go through these. Is it,
But we've seen, some of them are similar to the ones we've seen in the past too, right? They're not,
Most of them are very similar to what you see every 2 years.
good night, guys, thank you.
Good night.
Thank you.
Do we want Chris to go to the, or does anybody at the table wanna go to the meeting? Anyone? Okay. Do we want to
You
ask?
time should Tony be there?
Do we think it's worthwhile to send Chris?
With our due time that we have with Chris, I do not feel like it's, necessary to send Chris. There's stuff here that I'm sure we can find to utilize your skills for while we only have you for X amount of days.
Excellent point. I'm on board with that. Okay, done.
And I'm sure if there's issues in here that not just Nottingham, but other towns will hear about it, and they'll probably
Yeah.
ask you. I think that happened before too, Chris, they never said, hey, give us support, we wanna get rid of this one, or, it's been a while ago, but that's good.
You're off the hook on that one, Chris. Field use policy. Courtney shared this with us previously, we've all had it for a while to look at. You're looking for a formal vote on this
Yeah, we just had
tonight?
to, we had to, clean it up and get it ready for signature and vote. That was,
And this says copy, but are we signing this?
is there one in your signature folder that doesn't say copy?
Oh, maybe.
Maybe?
Yes, there is.
Okay.
Yes, there is. All right.
Were we having a problem with this?
No, this
Or is
was,
this something we're trying to do in anticipation of maybe this becoming a problem?
it was.
Before it becomes a problem.
It was in anticipation of Marston coming online and the kinds of things that Courtney's gonna be juggling. She needed a policy backbone in order to, schedule things and,
Yeah, it has a lot to do with the scheduling and the desire for multiple groups to use it. And she has spent some time, I mean, she has a great relationship with multiple groups, but she has had varying conversations with them about who wants to use it when and who should
Oh, I
be
knew there was
priority.
something that leaded up to it. It doesn't,
Yeah,
this doesn't
yeah.
pop in front of us.
no,
unless
there's
a
nothing on
problem.
fire, it's just, let's get it on paper, let's everybody agree the ground rules about how we're gonna do this and.
That's, I mean,
Yep,
so we're basically making a way to facilitate proper use and times for the town properties.
For the fields, yep.
For the fields.
yep,
So that everybody can get adequate, and Courtney's gonna be the spearhead of charging, saying what times are available and what times aren't.
Right.
right.
Nottingham Rec and, always has first priority to our town properties.
Yes, that's,
That's,
and then,
well, I'm reading it, back to in a layman's term.
Yes.
All the
Yes.
crap that was in there.
yes, that, and we have a kind of a preferred relationships with those longtime partner organizations that.
Like NYA and all.
Exactly, yeah,
Correct.
and that's,
Right, 'cause-
Courtney needs a policy and a statement from you that says, yeah, that's how we want you to operate, go do it, and that's what this is doing.
Yeah, I read it, I'm good. I'll make a motion to accept the municipal field use policy, user policy.
Second.
All in favor? Okay. The next one is the Code of Ethics. We've talked about this before.
We tabled it last meeting for this meeting.
Yeah, there's agreement. So the tabling for this meeting was the official vote and adoption and signatures on it. So I will take a motion to accept this unless there's any further discussion on it.
I'll make a motion that, select board approve the Board of Selectmen Code of Conduct, as, adopt, yeah, I'll make a motion the select board adopt the Board of Selectmen Code of Conduct, as amended.
Second.
All in favor? I believe Ben expressed his support for it last meeting, so Chris will just wanna make sure.
From my recall, Ben wanted to make sure that he reread it, in order to be at this meeting, to vote on it. He didn't express a positive or negative for the, code of ethics.
He, at the last meeting, said, I'm good,
Okay.
yeah. That's what he said.
Well, I thought we were just tabling it because of what he was, his rereading it.
No, I tabled it because I wanted the full board to be here. You were traveling and I wanted the full board to be here, but Ben's not here tonight, and I think we can't keep delaying it. So,
Maybe it was a meeting before? I don't know.
what's that? Okay. Field use, okay, finance and insurance matters, Chris.
Okay, I don't need a lot from you here, I just wanted to give you an opportunity to ask questions and give me a little guidance on one piece. First thing I sent you was the MS1, inventory valuation. The bottom line is their tax base went up by about 2%. So all else being equal, the tax rate, the mill rate will go down by 2% next year. If spending goes up, then that'll obviously, mess with that formula, but there is 2% more value over which to spread the costs of operating the town. So, that is very similar, that is remarkably stable, that rate of increase, outside of the revaluation years, where we catch up with the market en masse. That 2% clip has been carrying for 8 years, I think, within a couple tenths of a point. It's really surprising how steady that is. But, so the total tax base is something in the neighborhood of 800. Questions on that? Nope.
So what is the signature that you're looking for on this one? 'Cause she's got
Is there a thing in your,
here, and it says preparer's signature, and it's only one line.
It's the
what's
MS1.
above that section?
It's the MS1.
Prepares- Is there a grid there with your names on it?
Nope.
Yeah, there is
Oh,
right
wait,
here.
I'm sorry, you're
Yeah.
correct, yeah.
Alright, so move the sticker up. Sign, please.
Got it, okay. I got confused.
Oh, yeah, I see. Sticker there.
There you go. You also have our, estimated revenues. This is the, non-tax revenues that we estimate as part of the budget process. We put a revenue estimate in the budget, and then we do another revenue estimate in, this time of year, after September 1st, to say, okay, these are all the non-property tax revenues we've received, and we take those off the top before we set the tax rate. Nothing unusual here. We continue to enjoy a steady, not aggressive, but steady increase in motor vehicle registrations. That's by large margin the only non-property tax number that really matters. It's over $1 million in revenue every year. Again, no surprises here. We should, we're gonna get to unanticipated revenue, and I've not included some things in this revenue projection that I just wanna make sure you're comfortable with. The way this is gonna work, you may have to get involved with this, I don't know how you're gonna, transition without me here, but somebody is gonna need to talk through this with DRA. I'm gonna try and do it before I go, but they do they check our numbers and make sure that our revenue projections are reasonable. And they also update all of the state sources of money that, they make sure we have the right numbers in those things. So, there's one more step of this that is a review with DRA before we get into tax rate setting. I'm gonna try and do that. It's really quite uneventful, this year. There's nothing out of the ordinary, but, that's on the handoff list, and we're gonna try and get it done, but we may not get there. Questions on that?
Nope.
Okay, unanticipated revenue. This is where I was hinting earlier, you're gonna talk more about this. There are surprise revenue sources that you can put in your estimated revenues. The thing we just talked about, you could put them there and, take them all right off the top in the tax rate setting process. You'd probably wanna spend them this year, just for accounting purposes. The other option that you have is to, take them as unanticipated revenue, which, means that it does not, come off the top in the tax rate setting. It is there for you to use on other things, and eventually reverts back to the fund balance. This is the most, accepting these monies as unanticipated revenues is the most flexible way for you to use them, gives you more time to use them. As I said earlier, you may wanna go back and, take some of your ARPA money, purchases and slot them here instead. That's a good,
These three that you listed?
yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I know we were in favor before of doing what we could for the bridge thing. We talked about that a while ago, didn't we?
Yeah, there's, we've got a great, I don't think we're ready to talk about it right now, but we've got a great suggested use for that around culverts. You've got culverts on the radar, you got engineering coming on the culverts. Another good way to spare the budget process and the, and the tax rate from those costs. You can use these things.
And the distinction about them being, anticipated versus unanticipated, revenue is because the unanticipated is basically one time,
Correct.
right? So it's not something we can count on every year, but it's just this one time.
Yeah.
Yep.
And one of the things that may, and this is more of political than a finance, but, if you accept these revenues as anticipated and you count them this year, right, from the jump, it will affect the tax cap that you're operate under in '23.
Not in our favor?
Depends on how you define favor, but it will shrink the amount of money that will be available to you under the tax cap.
Because it will play into the tax.
Because it plays into the formula, and that revenue is not gonna be there next year.
Exactly.
Right,
Yeah.
so that is one of the reasons that I suggest you will use these through unanticipated. Most importantly, it's one-time money.
Right.
You can't, you just can't, this isn't gonna happen again. These are all one-time votes by the legislature. What happened in Concord this year is that the revenues were way over estimates, and the legislature had more money than it's had in a long time, and this is where it's coming back down to us. They used it on a whole lot of things, and they shared some of it with the cities and towns, thankfully.
So we wanna spend, well, if we have a good way to spend the money, it's good to spend it this year in order not to affect our next year's budget.
You don't have to rush into spending it, but it's,
Well, we don't wanna use it against the budget this year, cause
Right.
if we do, it brings down our number, which is gonna make next year, when we don't have the money, more difficult to remain under the 4%, what we're trying to do and stay with.
yes.
Wait a minute, so, but if it's unanticipated and we don't make it, it's not part of the budget, Because we're taking it out of the budget, is it what you're saying, if we're covering it this way?
I'm just trying to, what Chris just said, just trying to
If
replay it
you-
back.
If you report it as revenue in the section above,
Yep,
it's coming right off the tax rate, it's coming
Right.
right off your, it's increasing the revenue that you'd have to find next year under the tax cap.
Where we run a pretty lean ship as it is now, trying to find this extra money next year could be very, very difficult.
correct, yeah. But we don't have to spend it this year.
No, you don't.
Because there's
have-
no,
you-
there's
when
no,
you- If you go unanticipated with it, you
it's not
don't have to
lapsing.
spend it right away.
Yeah, okay,
So again, that, so just how we put or what we do with it is very important, is what I'm just trying
correct,
to get at.
yes,
And you can decide later how to spend it. There are things that are, there are only certain things that are eligible.
yeah,
The bridge money can only be spent on municipally owned bridges, and the highway grant money is, has to be spent on highway stuff. So, that's why I said you may come to December, and you may shuffle some things around here, cause you have this, you're gonna have this money if you accept it as unanticipated. You have a tremendous amount of flexibility in terms of, do you wanna save your ARPA money for something else, or do you want, so if you wanna go down that road of using, calling it unanticipated, you gotta have a public hearing, as if you were accepting a grant or something like that, that's what you're doing. We can make that happen relatively quickly. You just have to advertise that there's gonna be a hearing, and you can hear from anybody who wants to talk about it and vote, and it's done. You did the same thing with the ARPA money late last year. You had a public hearing,
Yep.
and you accepted the ARPA money as unanticipated. And gave yourself the flexibility to use it, like you did tonight. So,
were you recommending which meeting for that?
we can do it at your next one, or you can take your time with it. It's, something else to clean up, was, just trying to button things up.
Why not do it at the next meeting? Yeah. Which, by the way, let me just point out, we've got Chris for one more meeting.
Well, there was something else that I have to. Kelly wrote something.
Pardon?
You can go on with what you're saying, I'm just gonna say.
No,
I was just,
I'm-
we have we're the 12th, this is what Kelly wrote, and again, we have no meeting scheduled for September 26th. That would be our next 2 weeks from now meeting. As for the, don't take this is not offensive, and this is not about religion, as that's Rosh Hashanah, and we don't meet on that holiday.
Ah, good catch.
All right, so that's why I question right now. Now, we can meet on that holiday if us as a board decide to meet. Nothing said we can't meet. We can take advantage of Chris.
Or we can move to another night that week. We could move to Tuesday.
I'd be fine with either.
I could work Tuesday, that's fine, it works for my schedule for Tuesday.
Does that work for you, Chris?
The Monday's not great for me, cause there's this other select board that wanted me to participate. The 27th I can do that.
Okay. Does that work for you, Tyler?
Tuesday? Yeah.
That's a Tuesday.
Here you represent the Jews of New Hampshire. That is the correct decision. Jewish holidays would be ending, so if you Orthodox, Rosh Hashanah would end that Tuesday night.
Okay,
So we can still have the meeting on Tuesday night.
Yes,
Thank you.
but yes.
okay,
Yeah, I think I'm good.
okay, so let's, and so shall we,
We gotta get that posted.
What's that date
Yeah,
again, the
that's
20th?
Tuesday, the 27th.
27th?
27th, okay.
And Chris will, hold the hearing that night, you guys
Okay.
ready?
Would you like to bring some cupcakes in for you for your last night with us?
Do you not wanna meet on the 3rd, which was your other, that was your, we anticipated this a while ago and scheduled,
Oh,
that's right,
Oh, okay.
yeah. That was.
Well,
the
when's
rate-
your last day?
the 6th of
The
October.
6th.
Ah,
Yeah, so if you're not adding a meeting, then all this does is move it up, it doesn't change much.
So, but then, so
You
if,
create a gap,
cause we're not gonna meet on the tenth, which is Columbus Day,
right?
so that's where we run into that.
I think you're probably gonna find yourself having meetings a little more frequently. Anyway,
Yeah, I think so.
but,
Do we have two meetings? I mean, again, we have a lot of shit going on, we have a lot of budget to head up.
You wanna go ahead and meet on the 27th?
I don't mind if we have an extra meeting, this will be the first time this year, I think we're actually throwing an extra meeting at us that we've had, so it's not like this is something that's become a regular, I don't want it to become a regular basis.
Might help us get our feet planted a little more firm.
But we should try to get as much of our budget, this money we're talking about and everything focused, so that when we do bring, we'll talk about that later, about what we're gonna do there, but
Yep.
I don't wanna be left with saying, wow, I wish we could've known more, did more,
Yeah,
and be in that situation.
so let's plan on the 27th, and then we'll take a look at the rest of the schedule from there.
Right. We could have a quick meeting on the 3rd, and that's it.
Yeah, exactly. All right, does that help, Chris? All good?
yep,
Anything, oh, insurance?
yep, that one's time sensitive, we just learned about it Friday. This is the, cap. Our property and liability and workers' comp carrier is Primex. They are giving us the opportunity to cap the potential increases. It's not a great number, but it's a free cap.
So was that, it was 9%, and was it 9% per year for the life of the contract?
It was for 3 years.
So 9% over 3 years?
No, per year,
Per year, okay.
yes.
Yeah,
So,
not great.
not great, but it's really, really unlikely you're gonna be with anybody else for these policies.
Yeah,
What policy is it?
A property and liability insurance and workers' comp insurance. So it's a commitment to be with them for 3 years, which you did 3 years ago and you haven't thought about it since. And workers' comp's a tiny amount of money, it's not, we don't spend that much, the property and liability insurance, which is, 70 grand a year, something like that.
and 9% increase.
Yeah.
Jeez Louise.
So,
That's probably what you're, equivalent of what you're getting with all other carriers, right?
you would struggle to find comparable coverage. We searched for, we went out to look for coverage in one of my first couple of years here, and it was, if you found anybody that was interested, there was no market. There was only one real game in town. You could find somebody that would talk to you, but I don't see that landscaping changing at all.
Thoughts, guys?
So, take it or leave it. It's,
Really have a choice?
No?
Well, it's,
oh, you do, it's.
So what do you need from us on this, Chris?
There's a, in the document itself, and yes, right there, there's a motion, or a resolved, or something like that,
Okay, here,
got it?
here you go.
So that's a vote
These
and
paragraphs,
sign
right up
tonight
there.
deal.
Both of them, or just,
Yeah.
You
Each one,
could
yeah.
probably combine the language to make one motion and let Donna sign it based on that.
oh, I got you.
See how it's two identical
Oh my
almost?
goodness.
All right, I'll make a motion that the select board is resolved to hereby accept the offer of the New Hampshire Public Risk Management Exchange, AKA Primex, to enter into its workers' compensation contribution assurance program and its property and liability contribution assurance program as of the date of adoption of this resolution, and to be contractually bound to all the terms and conditions of Primex Risk Management Pool membership during the term of said workers' compensation contribution assurance program and property and liability contribution assurance program. The coverage provided by Primex in each year of membership shall be as then set forth in the coverage documents of Primex.
Can you read that again?
When they say a maximum, maybe they'll be nice and say, we're not gonna do it, are they saying 9 and 10%?
No, that's a max,
Okay.
it's a cap.
Okay.
This is really driven by the, we're in a pool of all the cities, most of the cities and towns in the state, how the pool performs, what the pool's losses are, combined with what our local losses are and our performance is, that's where the rate comes from, and
Second.
All in favor? Okay. Hey, Chris, was this just a, do you know, Kelly left this, was this just a, we didn't sign when we were supposed to? Cause if I look at the front, Tony, Tyler, Ben, and.
probably, yeah, probably a missed
It's
signature
probably
from
just
a
missed
prior meeting.
signatures. Okay,
There's only one signature block on there, so
Okay.
I assume that's for you.
so this
Yes.
is a abatement credit that I think we just all missed the.
Whoops, yep. Well, there was a sticker missing.
Oops, sorry, I didn't mean to.
Oh, yeah, we gotta talk about that, right? Hey, what about that guy using the town logo to
Yeah,
make,
it's
So-
still on the list,
Oh,
yep.
yeah, I forgot about that. So,
Tyler wanted to make sure we didn't forget about it.
You also have to appoint the remaining electors of the inspection,
yes,
especially
right.
the election.
So as far as the logo goes, like, I mean, I'm not fundamentally opposed to it. I just wanted to make sure that we thought through that this is setting a precedent for people to use the town logo.
Not unless they ask our permission.
So that's all,
You still gotta ask us.
and so then what are the parameters for which we wouldn't allow the use of it?
So,
Now I got a question.
so a lot of companies have a media and branding policy. So like previously we let that person, brand his homebrew beer. You know what I'm talking about, with the Nottingham
Yeah.
logo on it?
You mean the Rockingham?
300, right.
But we set a time limit too.
We did.
That was one of my email,
This, the silly beer, it's got the town logo on it.
yeah.
The Nottingham, yeah, Four Generals, something brew, 300th anniversary, yeah. So, I mean, with most private companies, they don't typically allow their logos, their branding, their trademarks to be used for the private benefit of another entity, not without some kind of permission or licensing agreement. I don't know how that would work with a town, but, I mean, it is the town seal, so.
This is no industry, though. This is the guy, he lives in town too, doesn't he? I mean, I don't see him becoming a millionaire on any
No.
Nottingham logos, whatever.
But what he wants to know is the town logo considered free for public use? And that, if we basically agree to that, we're saying the town logo is a public domain image that anybody can use for anything.
Technically, I looked it up, technically, the town owns an implied trademark on that, even if we haven't formally applied for that.
Yeah.
And again, I'm not trying to be a jerk here, I just wanna make sure that we think it through, like, are we going to allow it for, profitable use? Or what are the circumstances where we wouldn't allow it? Or should we be having this conversation anyway, because it's the seal of the town and the people who are the town? I don't know, I just wanted us to talk about it.
I see this guy at the Deerfield Fair in a little booth trying to sell Epping signs, Nottingham signs, and a little town logo on it. And he's trying to make a buck, cause he has the wood carving and, and the stuff to do it. Again,
Go back 350 years ago, Steve, and this, all we want is 80%, and they can do whatever they want with it.
So are we okay, again, I'm just exploring options. Are we okay then if somebody wants to sell t-shirts at the Deerfield Fair that has our logo on it that says Nottingham sucks?
Right, that's an excellent
Well,
point right there.
Nottingham, if it just says Nottingham sucks, there's nothing we can do about it, doesn't have our logo on it.
Well, if we're
Plenty
letting
of
this guy,
Nottingham.
No, I'm saying they have the,
Oh,
they have
yeah.
the seal,
and they're selling it,
and they're selling it.
For profit.
right, if you wanna go make your own. Again, that's still not even the right thing, so.
I mean,
sometimes-
obviously, they,
Are you gonna defend this trademark?
some people have,
No,
seen-
no,
some people
I
have
know,
seen, some
I
people
know.
have seen the signs or whatever, they like it, you know, whatever, they just, I don't know. They're probably going to this guy saying, can you make me whatever, like, I don't know.
I mean, I'm okay, I just wanted to make sure that we have a good conversation and know that potentially this will. And to Chris's point, like, you know, we're not gonna pay lawyers to defend the use of it, but.
Hey, we don't even have a trademark on the Nottingham. There's no bug there saying it's ours, it could be people say, hey, you stole that from us.
Well, I mean, think of it like a police department patch. You can't just go buy your own police officer's uniform, have your own Nottingham patches made, and then go around town parading as a police officer, right? Same thing with a governmental seal, right? Can't do that with the office of the president, you can't do it with the governor's office, you can't do that with certain state departments, I mean, I don't know.
So, I would say, this is my opinion, I'd give Guy the 6-month window to use it right now, and then, in that 6-month window, he brings us some of the stuff that he's putting out, and then we can make a decision as a group whether we wanna keep it or not.
Extend it beyond the 6 months.
Extend it beyond the
Yeah.
6 months of letting him use it, cause if they look, no offense to the guy, I don't know everything, I haven't seen any of his work, and I'm not saying it's anything bad, but if it looks awful,
Yeah,
I think it's fair.
and in 6 months, we'll see how many, maybe the detail's too hard for him to do and too much of the woodworking, and it's gonna be too much pain, he
you
doesn't
think
wanna
of
do it
the,
anyways.
yeah, the size of a coaster, right? I mean, you're talking,
Oh, I mean, the coaster could be this big, I mean, again,
you know, 3 inches,
It's
4 inches on a side.
I'm okay with that.
it's gonna be tough to get his logo, I say we let him use it for 6 months, then he shows us what he's doing with it,
Yeah,
and then we just take a window from there, whether we let him keep
Fine.
doing it or not.
Fine,
that's fair.
That's,
I'm good with that. So,
So limited license.
we need to reply to him.
6 months.
6 months. Do we have a high-quality digital image that he can master off of?
Yeah, that's actually, we just did one. Yeah, we got some.
Okay.
Um,
TIFF or an
One's a high
EPS or
quality.
something like that.
There's, you know, we may get other requests for that.
Well,
That actually has some value in that it's done in high quality. So maybe you give them the license to do it, but you don't provide the image, because then somebody else is gonna come in and say, hey, I want your image as well.
Yeah, we should protect.
Cause we had
That's
to,
fair.
we had to pay for that.
We paid for that, yes.
Right, we
Not
paid it.
not a ton, but,
Yeah.
You
that's
could
fine.
provide a dumbed-down
yeah, we
resolution
can,
of
we can
it.
give him a basic.
A
one,
lower,
right.
a lower,
He can do with it what he wants, but,
Right.
we'll protect our highest quality one.
Fine.
yeah,
Fine.
Is that good?
Yep.
yeah, that's fair.
Seal.
All right,
set.
was there something else besides that? before we-
Ballot
The-
clerks,
Oh, the ballot clerks, correct.
Yes.
Yeah,
And I think you can just do another motion that appoints them as, you know, from the moderator on whatever date that list is.
Just read them all, or we're just gonna say.
You don't-
no, we
you don't
didn't
have-
read them last time.
all right, I'll make a motion, the select board approve the list of ballot clerks as provided by the election moderator for the 2022 elections.
second,
All in favor?
Right,
All right, now, the grand finale.
The grand finale of the public session.
Do we have non-public?
A couple things, yeah.
Oh, okay,
Nothing horrible.
That's the
yeah,
grand finale.
that's the grand finale,
the what?
the grand finale. Well, we gotta talk about what we're gonna do.
Yeah,
Since, Chris is abandoning us. So, you guys saw, I talked to MRI about how they can help us. They helped us with the search for the police chief. Advertising, screening, making recommendations to us. $2,800 for that package, which is what we paid for police chief. And then, as far as, like they said, that could take 45 to 60 days. The pool of candidates out there is very small. Alan indicated to me that like in the past, for a position like this, you would get like 100 applicants. And now the pool out there is about 15, so it's really hard to find people. He did talk about salary, we can talk about that as we get deeper into this process. But they can also support us by providing an interim TA, which would be, up to us to determine how many hours a week we would want, and, the rate for that would be $85 an hour plus travel.
What's the qualifications of the intern?
It's somebody who has experience as a town administrator.
Fully qualified,
Fully
vetted.
qualified.
Better than me.
That's what Alan said. He said, I can't believe you made it this long with Chris.
Oh, that's just mean.
MRI.
It's the same organization we used to, vet for the police chief.
And to do scans.
MRI? I don't know.
Municipal Resources Incorporated, yeah. So, what is everybody thinking?
I don't think we have a choice.
Yeah, I think it's short money, and I think we need the support. We're gonna be without Chris very soon. And, given our day jobs, we don't have the capacity to conduct a full-time search ourselves.
Right, but I'd like to narrow the search, no people from like Arizona, Atlanta, I want people from around here, cause again, it's not gonna work out.
New Englanders at the very least.
Yeah, I mean, if you live in Nottingham, if you live in Northwood, there's gotta be somebody out there. Yeah, we don't need to go events to search, like we had the police officer from Atlanta, we had the police, they would've never been a fit here.
Yeah, so I mean, they've gotta be somebody who's familiar with
Yeah.
what it's
New
like to
Hampshire law and
be.
governance.
Yeah, exactly.
Again, I hate to have somebody, think it's a good thing, and they get here and say, oh, gee, I don't like Nottingham, quit, we'll be at it again.
Yeah,
Well, they at least have to have, just broaden our search a little more. New England, they know what a
Yeah, no,
select board
it's-
is, they know what,
Yeah,
That's what I mean, that's
how
what
our
I'm talking about,
situation,
yeah.
right?
Our
I understand not from Maryland, it says, what do you mean this is not a town council, what do you
Yeah,
mean this is not a, how we,
Quebec,
I totally agree with that.
transitioning from crown law to American law, not to mention speaking French.
yeah.
And we already have the money in the budget for what Chris's salary is, which we're no longer
Correct.
paying, so we can afford to pay the intern that anyway, so that's not gonna affect anything.
Correct.
Interim, not intern.
Intern, sorry.
Yeah, yeah.
You could go intern.
All right.
Get that,
Tyler,
Lorraine?
any thoughts on that?
Intern, see, there you go, she corrected me.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, so do you guys want me to proceed with them to, start drafting the job description and sharing that with us? Do you want us to ask Alan to come in so that well,
Oh, we've seen him a couple times already, haven't we?
yeah.
It's the same guy, right?
Yeah, okay, so there's two kind of things, there's two paths, there's let's get the job description out there, let's advertise, let's do all that, but then there's the interim. And we're gonna have to have a conversation, maybe Chris, you and I can have it as a start, like, what do we think we need for coverage on a temporary basis? So maybe you and I can have that conversation, and then I can share it with the rest of you guys, so that we can kind of understand what we think that needs to be and what it's gonna cost. Does that make sense as an approach to move forward?
Yeah, and a salary analysis too. We're gonna need some insight into what we really should be.
He's got it.
Yeah?
Alan's
If
got it.
you went on their website, you can see what local towns are, requesting, or what they're capping at. Let's say that's the proper is, what they're capping at, what they potentially could pay the right candidates.
They're saying up to,
Right.
dependent on experience.
Right,
So that gives you some wiggle room.
flexibility.
Yeah.
What is the insurance get per hour?
He said approximately $85 an hour.
85, good, okay,
Yeah.
that's a good question.
So it's short money for having somebody provide the guidance, the operational guidance and, you know, keeping us out of trouble.
Is he kosher, do we have to, this guy has the authority to do it?
Well, I don't know if he's kosher or not.
What about, you've got the Jewish holiday.
Yes, they are, that MRI specializes in putting, one of the things they specialize in is putting experienced people in temporary positions
Okay,
to fill gaps like this.
cool, okay.
Yep. Is that it, guys? Before we go into non-public?
Yep. Good.
All right.
What letter are we on? A. All right, I'll make a motion, the select board enter non-public session per RSA 91-A:3, section 2A.
You did that off the top of your head.
I've said it so many times.
Need a second?
Second.
Roll call.
Hi, Tony Dumas.
Donna Danus.
Hi, John Moore.
Hi, Tyler Eaton.
Okay, the select board will be going into non-public. Coming out of non-public, we will be adjourning the meeting as there will be no further public business.
Good night, Nottingham.
Good night, Nottingham. Good night, Steve.